This man walked up to a sanin, a kage, a literal goddess, and asked them what their type in women was. And then he beat them all senseless. Who builds a man this dangerous and gives him the audacity to match?
The Konoha Ninja Academy training grounds looked like the aftermath of an earthquake that had learned how to throw punches. 100 students lay scattered across the dirt in various states of ruin. Bloodied noses, cracked ribs, broken confidence. The upperclassmen who had come to teach the freshmen a lesson were stacked 3 deep near the east fence, groaning in a pile that had stopped moving entirely. The bullies who used to corner kids after class were face down in the mud, and one of them appeared to be crying for his mother. Standing dead center in this apocalypse of broken bodies was a 12-year-old boy. But calling him a boy felt like calling a hurricane a light breeze. Naruto Uzumaki stood 6 feet tall at 12 years old. His frame was a wall of muscle that belonged on a heavyweight championship poster, packed under a black sleeveless shirt that struggled to contain his shoulders. A jagged scar ran from his right temple to his jaw, cutting through his whisker marks like a river through a valley. His blonde hair was cropped short and wild. His blue eyes carried the intensity of a man who had lived 1,000 fights and found every single one of them boring. His arms were crossed. His expression was flat. "Is that it?" His voice rumbled from his chest like distant thunder. A 12-year-old should absolutely never sound like that. 100 of you, and I'm still standing here with my arms crossed. My 530,000 IQ is being wasted on you boring weaklings. Nobody answered. Nobody could. Iruka Umino was standing at the edge of the field, clutching his clipboard so hard the wood was splintering. His mouth had been open for approximately 45 seconds. He had been called here by the commotion, reports of a disturbance at the training ground. What he found was a massacre in everything except lethality. "How?" Iruka whispered. "He's been enrolled for 3 weeks." Next to him, Mizuki was white as a sheet. I told you the demon brat was dangerous. Did anyone listen to me? Does anyone ever listen to?" Naruto's eyes flicked to Mizuki from across the field. Just his eyes. That was enough. Mizuki stopped talking, his mouth sealed shut like it had been welded. Something primal in his brain told him that the next word out of his mouth would be his last. Naruto uncrossed his arms and stretched, rolling his massive shoulders. Yar, if this is what passes for the next generation of shinobi, the village is already dead. Someone bring me a real fight, or I'm going back to sleep. And then, a sound from the tree line, a sound that every person in Konoha recognized. Yosh! What magnificent fighting spirit! The trees parted, or rather, a man in a green jumpsuit burst through them with enough enthusiasm to physically bend reality. Might Guy landed at the edge of the training ground with tears already streaming down his face, his teeth gleaming like a lighthouse. Behind him, a miniature version of himself. Rock Lee, 13 years old, bowl cut shining in the sun, orange leg warmers impossibly clean, landed in a textbook stance. Guy pointed at the devastation. Then at Naruto, his lip trembled. "Boy, did you do all of this?" Naruto looked at him, then at the bodies, then back at Guy. They were in my way. Guy sobbed, actual heaving, body-shaking sobs of joy. Such flames of youth, such raw power. This is exactly what I have been looking for. Lee stepped forward. His eyes were burning. "Guy-sensei, please allow me. I must test my flames against this incredible person." Guy clenched his fist and nodded with the intensity of a man watching his son walk for the first time. "Go, Lee. Show him the power of hard work and dedication." Lee dropped into his stance. His focus was absolute. He was already moving, a blur of green, faster than any genin should be. His strongest kick, the one that could shatter training posts, rocketed toward Naruto's ribs. The impact echoed across the training ground. Lee's shin hit Naruto's forearm. The ground beneath Naruto's feet cracked in a spiderweb pattern that extended 3 meters in every direction. Dust erupted. The shockwave blew the hair of everyone watching straight back. Naruto had raised one arm, one single forearm to block. His feet had moved 0 inches. Lee stared at his own leg, then at the arm that had stopped it, then back at his own leg. His mouth fell open. Naruto lowered his arm slowly. His expression changed. The boredom evaporated. Something deeper took its place. A sudden, intense, burning seriousness that made the air itself feel heavier. He pointed one massive finger at Rock Lee. Before we continue, his voice was a command wrapped in velvet, wrapped in concrete. I have one question for you. Bowl cut. Lee blinked. A question? Depending on your answer, I might just have to beat you to death right here. Naruto's eyes locked onto Lee's with the focus of a predator. What kind of woman is your type? Silence. Total, complete, absolute silence across the entire training field. Even the groaning bodies stopped groaning. Iruka dropped his clipboard. Guy stopped crying mid-sob. A single tear frozen on his cheek. Rock Lee's face went through approximately 7 emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, processing, understanding, and then a fire ignited behind his eyes that matched Naruto's own. Lee straightened his spine. He clenched his fist. He threw his head back. I like a tall woman with a big ass. He screamed it with every fiber of his being. Every ounce of his youthful soul was in that declaration. It echoed off the academy walls. It scattered birds from trees. Somewhere in the village, a window cracked. Naruto's eyes went wide. And then something happened inside his mind. Deep within the seal, Kurama, the nine-tailed fox, ancient demon of unimaginable power, being of pure malice who had destroyed entire civilizations, watched in absolute horror as a fully fabricated memory began playing across the mindscape like a movie. In this memory, a young Naruto and a young Lee were sitting on a rooftop at age 7, sharing rice balls. They were laughing about a prank they had pulled on the academy teachers. Then the memory shifted. The two of them training together at dawn, Lee holding Naruto's legs while he did sit-ups, wrought their friendship unbreakable. Then it shifted again, both of them at a festival, wearing matching headbands they had made from bandages, eating yakitori on sticks, watching fireworks. Then again, the two of them back-to-back, surrounded by bullies, Lee kicking high while Naruto punched low, a symphony of brotherhood. None of this had ever happened. They had met 45 seconds ago. Kurama pressed himself against the back of his cage. What is this? Kid, what is wrong with your brain? These memories are fake. I have been sealed inside you since birth. None of this happened. Naruto's eyes were brimming with tears in the real world. His massive frame was trembling with emotion. He spread his arms wide. Lee, my brother, my dear, dear brother, do you remember that day at the festival? When we shared those yakitori sticks and you said, Naruto, no matter what happens, we'll always be brothers. I've carried those words in my heart every single day since then. Lee's eyes went wide, tears were forming, because Rock Lee, precious, beautiful, emotionally available Rock Lee, did what any true warrior of youth would do when someone called him brother with that much conviction. He believed it. Naruto, my brother, I remember, the yakitori, the fireworks. Lee, Naruto, they charged each other. Two massive forces of nature colliding in the most devastating hug the training ground had ever witnessed. The impact of their embrace kicked up a dust cloud. The emotional energy radiating from their bodies was so intense that Guy, who had been standing there processing all of this, completely broke down. Beautiful, Guy screamed, tears waterfalling. The flames of youth burning so brightly between brothers. This is the most beautiful thing I have ever witnessed. Guy joined the hug. The three of them were sobbing, embracing, absolutely radiating masculine emotional energy in a way that made everyone watching deeply uncomfortable and strangely moved at the same time. Inside the seal, Kurama was lying on his side. I am sealed inside a madman, an actual, certifiable, clinically insane madman. Iruka, who had retrieved his clipboard from the ground, was staring at this scene with his mouth opening and closing like a fish. I have to report this to the Hokage. And he did. 2 hours later, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, the god of shinobi, sat in his office, pipe in hand, reading the report. He read it once, then again, then a third time. The report stated the following. Naruto Uzumaki, age 12, defeated 100 academy students in hand-to-hand combat without using a single jutsu. He then blocked Rock Lee's full power kick with one forearm without moving. He then formed an instant and apparently lifelong brotherhood with Rock Lee based on a question about women and a series of memories that demonstrably never occurred. Might Guy was also involved. Hiruzen took a very long drag on his pipe. He looked at the ceiling. He exhaled. Assign him to Team Guy, effective immediately. His assistant blinked. Sir, he's a year early. The team is already. I know what I said. Put him on Team Guy. 4-man squad. If that boy stays in the academy, there will be nobody left by graduation day. And frankly, Hiruzen looked out the window toward the training ground, where he could still hear faint sobbing and declarations of brotherhood. I think Guy might be the only person alive who can handle him. And so it was done. Team Guy became a 4-man squad. Neji Hyuga, the prodigy with the Byakugan. Tenten, the weapons specialist. Rock Lee, the taijutsu genius who could open the 8 gates. And Naruto Uzumaki, the reincarnation of something that should never have been allowed to walk the earth twice. Their first official team meeting was held the following morning. Neji sat with his arms crossed, annoyed at having a 4th member forced onto his squad. Tenten was polishing a kunai, curious but cautious. Lee was practically vibrating with excitement. And Naruto sat cross-legged, taking up approximately 1/3 of the available bench space with his sheer mass. Guy stood before them. Team, we have a new member. Naruto Uzumaki, the most youthful. Guy-sensei. Naruto's voice cut through. Everyone went still. Before I officially join, there is something I must know. Guy blinked. Of course, my youthful student. What is it? Naruto pointed at Neji. His finger was the size of a kunai handle. You. White eyes. What kind of woman is your type? Neji's Byakugan almost activated involuntarily. Excuse me? Your type. The woman who makes your heart beat faster. Answer me. Your soul depends on it. Neji stared at him with barely contained contempt. I don't have time for such trivial. Boring. Naruto's eyes went flat. He turned away from Neji like he had stopped existing. You bore me already. We'll fix that later. Neji's eye twitched. His veins pulsed at his temples, but some primal survival instinct buried deep in his genius brain, told him that responding to that provocation would end very badly for him. Naruto looked at Tenten. His expression softened slightly. And you? Tenten stared at him. You're asking me what kind of woman is my type? I ask everyone. It reveals the soul. Tenten considered this. She grinned. I like strong women. Women who can fight. Women who swing weapons. Naruto nodded slowly, respectfully. Acceptable. You have good taste. I won't forget that. He extended a fist. Tenten, amused despite herself, bumped it, and Team Guy was formed. Over the following weeks, missions happened. D ranks that felt like insults. Catching cats, pulling weeds, delivering packages. Naruto did them with a permanently annoyed expression that somehow made the cats come to him out of fear rather than requiring any chase. Lee did them with boundless enthusiasm. Neji did them with silent superiority. Tenten did them while somehow practicing her aim at the same time. But the team's dynamic was immediate and undeniable. Naruto and Lee were a force of nature together. They trained at dawn, they trained at dusk, they pushed each other in ways that made the ground shake. Guy wept with joy approximately 4 times per training session. Neji observed all of this and said nothing, but his eyes tracked Naruto's movements with increasing intensity. Tenten served as the team's tactical conscience, the one who pointed out collateral damage before it became paperwork, and Kurama, from inside the seal, watched all of this with the resigned exhaustion of an immortal being trapped inside the body of the world's most confusing human. Kit, you fabricated another memory today. You told Lee you remember a birthday party that never happened. It felt real to me, Naruto rumbled internally. It didn't happen. My 530,000 IQ says otherwise. That's also fake. You made that number up. Yar yar, even my own tenant lacks vision. Kurama put his head between his paws. I miss being sealed in your mother. She was sane. 3 months passed. Team Guy took C ranks, then B ranks. Every mission ended the same way. Naruto hitting something once and the mission being over. He had punched a bandit leader through a barn wall during their first B rank. The client had fainted. Guy had given a 30-minute speech about restraint that Naruto had slept through standing up. And then the mission came, the one that would put Team Guy on the map. A protection detail to the land of waves. Escort a bridge builder named Tazuna across hostile territory and guard him until the bridge was complete. Standard B rank. Maybe a little above standard. The Hokage assigned it to Team Guy specifically because, and these were his private words to his assistant, I want to see what happens when that boy meets a real threat. Also, I want it handled quickly because I am very tired." Tazuna was a drunk old man with a straw hat and a loud mouth. He took one look at Naruto and dropped his sake bottle. That's a 12-year-old? My body is a temple," Naruto said, cracking his neck. "Your bridge will be fine." The journey to the land of waves was mostly uneventful. Mostly. 2 Chunin-level mercenaries tried to ambush them from a puddle on the road. They jumped out with chains, screaming about murder. Naruto clotheslined both of them without breaking his stride. He grabbed them by their chains and swung them into a tree so hard the tree split. He kept walking. The whole thing took 4 seconds. Yar. They hid in a puddle, on a road where it hasn't rained in a week. My 530,000 IQ weeps for the state of mercenary work in this country. Lee applauded. Neji said nothing, but his eyebrows went up 0.5 millimeter. Tenten whistled. Guy sobbed about youth. The real challenge waited at the bridge. The fog rolled in like a living thing when they arrived. Thick, suffocating, unnatural. It swallowed the bridge whole. Tazuna froze. Guy's expression shifted from joyful to serious in a heartbeat. His combat instincts were flawless, and they were screaming. And then the voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Well, Konoha sends me children and a man in spandex. The bridge builder must be truly desperate. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist. His killing intent flooded the bridge like a physical weight, pressing down on everything. Tazuna dropped to his knees. Even Neji's jaw clenched. The air itself felt heavier, colder, deadlier. Zabuza materialized from the fog, massive, shirtless. His executioner's blade resting on one shoulder like it weighed nothing. Bandages covered his face. His eyes were predator's eyes. Silent killing technique, Zabuza said, his voice carrying from the mist. 8 points. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. Which one do you want to die from? Guy dropped into his stance. Everyone protect Tazuna. This man is A rank. Guy sensei. Naruto's voice cut through the killing intent like a hot knife. Everyone looked at him. He was standing completely straight, relaxed. His hands were at his sides. His eyes were half-lidded with absolute total boredom. Yar. He looked at Lee. Something passed between them. A communication that required no words, only brotherhood. Brother, shall we show this fish how to jump? Lee's eyes ignited. His bandages unwrapped slightly. He nodded once. Zabuza laughed from the mist. Fish? Boy, do you have any idea who I? Naruto clapped his hands together. One single clap. The sound of his palms meeting was like a thunderclap that echoed across the water. Boogie woogie. Zabuza, who had been charging from the left with his blade already mid-swing, was suddenly on the right, standing in empty air. His blade completed its arc and slammed into a concrete support pillar of the bridge with full force. The legendary executioner's blade, the weapon that had earned its name from 1,000 decapitations, chipped against the concrete. Zabuza's eyes went wide behind his bandages. He looked at his blade, then at where he had been, then at where he was now. What? Clap! Boogie woogie. Zabuza was airborne, 20 feet up, exactly where Lee was already waiting, having launched himself the moment Naruto had clapped. Lee's body was a coiled spring of pure taijutsu fury. Leaf hurricane! The spinning kick caught Zabuza under the chin with the force of a cannonball. Zabuza's head snapped back. His jaw made a sound that jaws should absolutely never make. The demon of the mist ragdolled backward through the air. Clap! Boogie woogie. Naruto swapped himself directly above Zabuza's tumbling body. He was already descending, already cocked back, already grinning with the absolute joy of a man who finally found something to hit. Black energy began condensing around his right fist. It pulled inward like a star collapsing. Red and black lightning crackling at the edges of his knuckles, distorting the air itself. The fog within 10 meters of his fist evaporated instantly. The entire bridge was suddenly visible. You bore me, demon. Zabuza looked up. He saw death falling toward him. Black chakra flash! The fist connected with Zabuza's chest. The impact was beyond sound, beyond force. It was an event. The bridge buckled. A crater formed in the concrete where Zabuza hit. 3 meters deep, 10 meters wide, perfectly formed in the shape of a broken man. Water from below erupted upward through the cracks. The shockwave blew the remaining fog off the bridge entirely, clearing the air in a perfect circle that extended 1/2 mile. Zabuza lay at the bottom of the crater. His bandages were gone. His chest plate was dust. His eyes were showing white. Neiji's Byakugan was active. His mouth was open. His tenketsu are intact. He simply hit him that hard with raw force. Tenten had dropped her scroll. What is he? Guy was silent. His arms were crossed. A single tear rolled down his cheek, but it was a different tear than his usual ones. This was the tear of a man watching someone who might already be stronger than him. At 12 years old, Naruto landed lightly at the edge of the crater. He dusted off his hands. Then, a sound. Ice forming, a cold presence materializing. A figure appeared on the bridge, a boy in a white mask, ambush style, with long hair falling past his shoulders. Haku. His hands were already forming seals, his eyes locked on Lee. I will protect Zabuza-sama. Ice release, demonic mirroring ice crystals. Mirrors of ice erupted from the bridge surface, forming a dome around Lee in an instant. Lee was trapped inside a cage of reflective surfaces, and Haku was moving between them, a blur of speed appearing in every mirror simultaneously, Senbon needles flying from every angle. I move at the speed of light, Haku said from within the mirrors. You cannot escape, you cannot dodge, except your... Lee was doing fine, actually. His speed was allowing him to deflect most of the Senbon, but he was taking hits, accumulating damage. And Haku was right. Inside the dome, Lee couldn't escape. Naruto watched this from outside. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out a pebble, just a regular pebble, except he pushed a tiny thread of chakra into it. Then he flicked it. The pebble sailed through a gap between two ice mirrors and landed inside the dome, rolling to a stop near Lee's feet. Haku didn't even register it. Why would he? It was a pebble. Naruto raised his hands. Clap! Boogie woogie. The pebble and Haku switched positions. Haku, who had been inside his own mirrors, moving at what he claimed was the speed of light, was now standing outside the dome, in the open, confused. His arm was still extended in a throwing pose. Senbon fell from his nerveless fingers. His masked face was pointed at the empty air where his mirror used to be. Naruto clotheslined him. His forearm caught Haku across the neck with such force that the mask didn't just crack. It exploded into powder. Fine white dust scattered in every direction as Haku's body folded like a lawn chair and launched backward, skipping across the bridge surface 3 times before slamming into the railing and stopping. The ice mirrors collapsed. Every single one of them fell apart simultaneously, shattering into harmless crystals that caught the sunlight as they fell. Lee stood in the middle of where the dome had been, Senbon sticking out of him like a pincushion, grinning with his thumbs up. Naruto, my brother! Wonderful! Naruto cracked his knuckles. He looked at the unconscious Haku, then at the cratered Zabuza, then at his own hands. Disappointing. His voice carried genuine sadness. I expected more from a demon. My 530,000 IQ prepared 17 counter strategies. I used 2. What a waste. Tazuna was on his knees. He was crying, but these were tears of joy and utter disbelief. His bridge was half destroyed from the fight, but the builders were alive. The enemy was down, and somehow this child, this monster of a child, had ended a battle against one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist in less than 2 minutes. Is it over? Tazuna whispered. It was over before it began, Naruto said. He turned and walked toward the end of the bridge. Lee, come, let's find food. I'm hungry. Lee jogged to catch up, still pulling Senbon out of his arms. Naruto, that swap technique is amazing. How does it... 530,000 IQ, brother. I'll explain at dinner. Behind them, Guy was carrying both unconscious bodies over his shoulders. Neji was staring at Naruto's back with an expression that was 1% respect and 99% existential crisis. Tenten was writing something in a notebook, possibly updating her will, possibly composing a mission report, possibly just writing what? Over and over in large letters. The Land of Waves arc ended 3 days later. The bridge was completed without further incident. Gato, the crime lord who had hired Zabuza, made the mistake of showing up with his mercenary army the day after the fight. Naruto looked at the army of 300 men. He looked at Lee. He smiled. Brother, want to warm up? They cleared the army in 6 minutes. Guy timed it. Gato tried to run. Naruto threw a rock infused with chakra at Gato's fleeing boat. Then he clapped, boogie woogie. Gato was suddenly standing on the bridge. His boat was gone. He was surrounded by the entire population of Wave Country, who had just watched 2 teenagers dismantle his private army. "I'll pay you," Gato screamed. "Whatever you want." Naruto wasn't even looking at him anymore. He was eating an apple. "The people of this country can handle him. Let's go home." And they left. The people of Wave handled Gato enthusiastically. They named the bridge the Great Naruto Bridge. When Team Guy heard about this a week later, Naruto's only response was, "Good, a bridge worthy of my 530,000 IQ. Kurama stirred in the seal. "You punched one man and threw a rock. Both require genius-level spatial calculation. You threw a rock. You wouldn't understand. You're a fox." Kurama screamed internally and went back to sleep. The return to Konoha was triumphant but quiet. Team Guy filed their report. The Hokage read it. He read it again. He poured himself something stronger than tea and read it a third time. Then he stamped it approved and added a personal note in the margin that simply said, "A-rank threats neutralized in under 2 minutes. Recommend increased mission difficulty for Team Guy immediately." The weeks that followed were a blur of training and missions. Lee and Naruto sparred every morning at dawn. Their exchanges shook the training ground so badly that residents of the nearest neighborhood started filing noise complaints. They didn't care. Brothers trained at dawn. That was law, Neji observed. He watched Naruto's movement patterns, his combat decisions, the impossible speed of his claps, and the equally impossible results. The Byakugan saw everything. The chakra flows, the spatial displacement, the way Naruto's body seemed to exist in a state of permanent readiness. And yet understanding what he was seeing didn't help. Because knowing what was happening and being able to prevent it were two entirely different things. Tenten tested weapons against him. Every weapon. Swords, chains, thrown projectiles, explosive tag kunai, giant spiked maces summoned from scrolls. Naruto caught them, dodged them, swapped them mid-flight so they sailed harmlessly into trees. Eventually, Tenten stopped trying to hit him and started trying to hit the things he swapped with, turning their sparring into a bizarre puzzle game that actually made her a better ninja. And Guy trained with all of them. But he trained with Naruto differently. He recognized what Naruto was. He'd known from that first day. The boy's body was a vessel for something beyond normal human potential. His chakra reserves were beyond anything Guy had encountered outside of Akage. His physical strength already rivaled Jonin-level combatants. His battle instincts were preternatural. He read opponents like books, anticipated movement before it happened, exploited every opening with devastating efficiency. "Naruto," Guy said one evening, sitting beside him on the training post. The sunset painted everything gold. "Who taught you to fight like that?" Naruto was silent for a moment. He looked at his own hand, opened and closed his fist. "Nobody taught me," he said. The lie felt natural because to him it was truth. "I just always knew, like I remembered it from somewhere, from someone else's life." Guy nodded. He didn't push, he just smiled. "Well, whoever's life you're remembering, they must have been a magnificent warrior." "The best," Naruto said, "with impeccable taste in women." Guy laughed. It was a good laugh. Honest, and then the Chunin exams were announced. Guy presented the nomination to his team with the gravity it deserved. "This will be the most challenging test of your youth yet. Teams from every village will be competing. The Forest of Death, the preliminary battles, the finals in front of the entire village." Lee was vibrating. "Guy-sensei, I have trained for this." Neji smirked. "Finally, a stage worthy of my abilities." Tenten spun a kunai on her finger. "Let's see what the other villages have." Naruto cracked his neck. "If there's no one worth fighting, I'm going home early." The first phase was a written exam. Naruto stared at the paper for approximately 30 seconds. Then he stood up, turned the paper over, and wrote 530,000 IQ on the back. He crossed his arms and went to sleep. When Ibiki Morino, the proctor, a man whose scarred face had broken stronger men, approached Naruto's desk to check his paper, he found the 12-year-old dead asleep, snoring, and absolutely massive. Ibiki looked at the paper. He looked at Naruto. Something in his experienced gut told him that this kid could level the building if woken up rudely. "Pass," Ibiki muttered, and moved on. The second phase was the Forest of Death. 44 gates. Survival. Scrolls to collect. Teams to fight. Team Guy entered through Gate 12. The forest swallowed them immediately. Massive trees, limited visibility, the sounds of combat already echoing from multiple directions. Formation, Neji commanded, his Byakugan activating. Lee and I will hunt, Naruto said. It wasn't a suggestion. You and Tenten guard our scroll and move toward the tower. We'll meet you there. Neji's jaw tightened. He despised being told what to do. But he also remembered what happened at the training ground 3 months ago, and at the bridge, and during every sparring session where Naruto had made him feel like an insect trying to fight a thunderstorm. Fine, Neji said through his teeth. Naruto and Lee moved through the forest like predators. They covered ground at insane speed. Lee's pure physical pace, combined with Naruto's use of boogie woogie to traverse the canopy, meant they could cover in minutes what took other teams hours. They found their first target team from Omegakuri in 8 minutes. The Rain Ninja saw Lee first and prepared their formation. They never saw Naruto. Clap! Boogie woogie. Their team leader was suddenly standing alone in a clearing, 50 meters from his teammates. Naruto was in front of him. One punch to the gut folded the Rain Ninja in half. Scroll acquired. That's one, Naruto said. Wonderful! Lee cheered. They found a second team, this one from Sound. The Sound Ninja had some kind of air pressure jutsu that disrupted equilibrium. Lee was momentarily dizzy from it. Naruto was annoyed. He walked straight through the sound waves. They hit his body and did nothing. His inner ear was reinforced with Kurama's chakra. He couldn't be disoriented any more than you could disorient a mountain. He grabbed the Sound Ninja by his face, one hand, lifted him off the ground. Your jutsu is boring, and you didn't even introduce yourself first. He looked the man dead in the eyes. What kind of woman is your type? What? Wrong answer. He threw the Sound Ninja into a tree 40 meters away. The tree broke. The ninja didn't get up. Second scroll acquired. They had both scrolls within 30 minutes of entering the forest. A new record. But Naruto wasn't heading for the tower yet. He stopped, his head tilted. He could hear something. Fighting. Real fighting. The kind that bent trees and cracked earth. He looked at Lee. Lee looked at him. Shall we investigate, brother? My 530,000 IQ is curious. Let's go. They moved through the canopy until they found the source. Below them, in a clearing that had been transformed into a war zone, was a scene. Sasuke Uchiha, the genius of their graduating class, the Uchiha survivor, the brooding pretty boy with the fan club, was on his knees, trembling. His face was white. His Sharingan was spinning wildly, uselessly, as he stared up at something that his eyes could track but his body couldn't respond to. Orochimaru stood above him, full form, snake-like, terrifying. Her neck was extended to an inhuman length, her tongue slithering, her eyes carrying the weight of decades of forbidden knowledge and murder. Sakura was behind a tree, frozen in terror. This was an encounter that should have never happened at this level. A Sannin against Jinin was a death sentence. Orochimaru's neck stretched further, mouth opening, a curse seal preparing to be implanted. Bah! The laughter exploded from the tree line like a bomb. Naruto's booming voice filled the clearing so completely that even Orochimaru froze. Mid-strike, tongue still extended, Naruto was on a branch, legs dangling, pointing directly at Sasuke with both hands, his massive body shaking with genuine, uncontrollable laughter. Look at him! Lee, brother, look! He was slapping his knee. The edgelord. Mr. I will surpass my brother. Mr. Don't talk to me, I'm dark and mysterious. He's shaking. He is literally shaking. A snake lady with bad skin is making him tremble, and he talks all that trash at the academy. Lee was beside him, also laughing. Truly unyouthful Naruto. Where is his fire? Where is his spirit? He has none, brother. His fire is as dead as his clan's compound. Sasuke's humiliation in this moment transcended anything Orochimaru was doing to him. Being beaten by a legendary Sannin was understandable. Being laughed at, genuinely, deeply, merrily laughed at, by the massive blonde freak from the academy while it happened? That was a wound to the soul. Orochimaru snapped her head toward them. Her eyes narrowed. A smile split her face. Oh, more prey. How delightful. And such big ones too. Her tongue slithered. You should run, little boys. You have no idea what. Naruto ripped his shirt off. The fabric tore like paper across his shoulders. His torso was a roadmap of muscle and scars. Old ones, deep ones, training scars layered over training scars. He dropped from the branch. The ground cratered slightly when he landed. My 530,000 IQ has already mapped your entire jutsu arsenal. He cracked his neck left, then right. The sounds were like gunshots. You're a snake summoner, body modification specialist. Your physical stats are average for a Sannin. You rely on regeneration and flexibility. Orochimaru's smile faltered slightly. Come on then, Naruto said. He beckoned with one hand. Show me if you're worth my time. Orochimaru moved at full Sannin speed. It was absurd. She crossed 20 meters in a blink, her body bending at angles that defied human anatomy. The Kusanagi sword materializing in her hand, aimed at Naruto's throat. Clap! Boogie woogie. Orochimaru's sword stabbed into something. But it wasn't Naruto. It was a tree stump that had been behind Naruto. A tree stump with an explosive paper bomb attached to it. Naruto had placed that bomb there when he dropped from the tree. 20 seconds ago, before the fight even started. The explosion was enormous. Yellow and white fire bloomed across the clearing. Trees within 30 meters were stripped of their leaves. The shockwave sent Sakura tumbling. Sasuke was blown backward. When the smoke cleared, Orochimaru stood in the blast zone. Half her face was gone. Skin peeled back, revealing muscle and something that looked more snake than human underneath. Her left eye was missing. Her smile was completely absent for the first time. Then, the flesh bubbled and reformed. Regeneration. Her face rebuilt itself in real time, skin slithering back into place like a creature wearing a human suit. Impressive, Orochimaru hissed. Her voice had lost its playful quality. A spatial technique, and traps prepared in advance. You're smarter than you look, boy. Everyone is smarter than they look when they have 30,000 IQ. Orochimaru pulled the Kusanagi sword. The legendary blade hummed with killing intent. She swung at Lee, a horizontal slash that could bisect trees. Clap! The sword's trajectory was perfect. The slash was flawless. But it hit one of Orochimaru's own summoned snakes, a massive serpent she had called to the field moments earlier, bisecting it clean through. The snake fell in two halves, gushing. Orochimaru blinked. She swung again, directly at Naruto, adjusting for the swap. Clap! Boogie woogie. Orochimaru punched herself in the face. Her own fist, mid-momentum, swapped trajectory when Naruto switched the spatial position of her extended arm with her own head's approach angle. The result was a full-force Sannin-level strike delivered directly to her own nose. Her head snapped back. Blood sprayed. Lee was on the ground, rolling, laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. She hit herself! Naruto, she hit herself! Naruto was grinning. The grin of a predator who had found his prey amusing rather than threatening. Yar, you call yourself a Sannin? My brother Lee hits harder than you. At least when he punches things, they stay punched. Orochimaru's eyes were wide. For the first time in decades, genuine rage. She summoned 3 more snakes, giant ones. Building-sized serpents that erupted from the ground with enough force to split the earth. Clap, clap, clap. 3 claps in succession. 3 spatial swaps. All 3 snakes were suddenly occupying the same 10-meter space. They collided with each other at full summoning velocity. The impact was staggering. Snake flesh against snake flesh, coils tangling, heads slamming, the entire summoning turning into a writhing disaster of confused serpents. Boogie woogie! Naruto called out each time with increasing enthusiasm, like a DJ dropping beats at a festival. Orochimaru staggered. She was losing. She, a Sannin, was losing to a 12-year-old who kept clapping his hands and laughing about it. Her analytical mind, honed over 40 years of being one of the most dangerous beings alive, could find no solution to a spatial technique that activated at the speed of a clap with 0 apparent cost. She made a decision. Her body sank into the ground, an earth escape technique, fleeing through the soil itself. Leaving so soon? Naruto called out. I had 17 more strategies prepared. What a waste of my 530,000 IQ. Orochimaru was gone. The clearing was silent except for the groaning of crashed snakes and the crackling of fire from the explosion. Sasuke was standing now. His eyes were fixed on Naruto's back. The Sharingan was spinning, recording everything it had seen. He had just watched a genin humiliate the same Sannin that had reduced him to a trembling wreck. Every exchange, every swap, every hit, Naruto turned. He looked at Sasuke. His expression shifted to complete indifference, like looking at furniture. Yar. He grabbed his torn shirt from the ground, pulling it back on over his scarred torso. Even the snakes here are boring. He looked at Lee. Brother, we have what we need. Let's head for the tower. Hi, Naruto. They leaped back into the canopy and vanished. Sasuke stood alone in the ruined clearing. His fists were shaking. But it wasn't fear anymore. It was something worse. Something that would rot inside him for weeks to come. Sakura approached cautiously. "Sasuke-kun? Are you—" "Shut up." His voice was ice. He walked away from her without looking back. Team Guy reached the tower first, a full day before the second team arrived. They spent the extra time training, eating, and, in Naruto and Lee's case, loudly debating the relative merits of tall women versus athletic women, a conversation that Neji and Tenten were forced to endure because the tower was only so large. "I maintain," Naruto said, holding up a finger, "that a tall woman with curves is the peak of human creation. My 530,000 IQ has analyzed this extensively." "But Naruto," Lee was doing one-arm push-ups while debating. "Athletic women, women who can throw kicks, the youth in their muscles. Both can be true, brother. This is why you are my best friend." Inside the seal, Kurama was trying to take a nap. It wasn't working. "Kit, you've been having the same argument for 2 hours. It's an important discussion. The soul of a man is revealed through his taste. I am going to gnaw through this seal and kill you both." Yar. Even my tenant has no appreciation for philosophy. The preliminary rounds began 3 days later, once enough teams had made it to the tower. The arena was underground, a large open space with catwalks above where eliminated teams and proctors could observe. A screen flickered with random name pairings. The first match Naruto paid attention to was Lee versus a genin from Sand, some puppet user. Lee dismantled him in 40 seconds without Naruto's help. 8 gates, first gate opened. 1 kick. Done. Naruto applauded from the catwalk, his claps echoing. "My brother, magnificent!" Lee gave a thumbs up from the arena floor, teeth sparkling. Neji fought next. His opponent was a genin from Grass. The fight lasted 60 seconds. Neji's Byakugan and gentle fist were overwhelming against anyone who wasn't named Naruto Uzumaki. He sealed 64 chakra points and his opponent collapsed. Tenten drew a Rain Ninja. She won with a combination that involved 47 thrown weapons in 6 seconds. The Rain Ninja was pinned to the arena wall like a butterfly in a collection. And then the screen flickered. Naruto Uzumaki versus Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba was already talking before Naruto had even descended to the arena floor. "Finally! The big freak! I've been waiting for this! Akamaru and I are going to show you what real instincts look like. You think you're tough because you're big? Size means nothing against." Naruto landed on the arena floor. The impact cracked the stone. He stood up to his full height and stared down at Kiba. "Before we begin." The authority in his voice silenced Kiba immediately. "What kind of woman is your type?" Kiba blinked. Akamaru whimpered. "Huh? What is that?" "Answer me. Your soul depends on it." Kiba puffed his chest. "Shh! Someone who can keep up with me, fast, wild, like a she-wolf." Naruto's expression went completely flat. His eyes lost all light. Something in the air shifted. Every person watching felt their skin crawl. "Terrible taste. A she-wolf. You want to date a dog." His voice was monotone, dead. "You bore me on a spiritual level." Kiba snarled. "What did you say, Akamaru? Let's go!" Fang over fang. Kiba and Akamaru launched their combination, spinning, drilling, twin tunnels of destruction aimed directly at Naruto's chest. Naruto didn't clap. He didn't need to. He just punched. One punch. Straight forward. His fist met the fang over fang technique head on. The spinning stopped. Kiba's rotation halted like he'd hit a wall made of infinity. The shockwave blew backward. Kiba's clothes shredded. Akamaru was launched away yelping, and Kiba himself compressed against Naruto's fist like he was trying to merge with it. Then Naruto flicked his wrist. Just a flick. Kiba rocketed backward and cratered into the arena wall. Spiderweb cracks spread from the impact point. Kiba's eyes were rolled back before he finished sliding down. Akamaru ran to the catwalk and hid behind Hinata's legs, whimpering. "Winner, Naruto Uzumaki," the proctor announced. Clearly shaken, Naruto was already walking back up the stairs. One punch. My 530,000 IQ wasted on this tournament. From the catwalk, every single genin was staring. The Sand siblings were watching. Tamari's eyes were wide. Kankuro had taken a step back involuntarily, and Gaara's eyes were fixed on Naruto with an intensity that bordered on hunger. His sand was stirring in his gourd. "Mother wants his blood," Gaara whispered. Then he tilted his head. "But she's also afraid." Tamari looked at her brother. Gaara being hungry was normal. Gaara being afraid was unprecedented. The matches continued. Hinata was drawn against Neji. Naruto was eating an apple on the catwalk, watching with mild interest. The fight went as expected. Hinata was brave, determined, fighting with everything she had. But Neji was a prodigy, and his gentle fist was merciless. He sealed her points one by one, breaking her down systematically while lecturing about fate and destiny. Naruto ate his apple. Hinata fell. Got up. Fell again. Got up again. Blood was running from her mouth. Her legs were failing, and Neji was approaching for the final strike, the one that would end it. His palm was cocked back, chakra swirling, aimed at her heart. "This is fate," Neji said. "You were born weak. You will die weak. Nothing can change." A hand caught his wrist. Neji's Byakugan saw it, but his body couldn't process it fast enough. One moment, Naruto was on the catwalk eating an apple. The next, he was on the arena floor, his massive hand wrapped around Neji's wrist like a vice. He had moved, or swapped, so fast that even the Byakugan's field of vision couldn't track the transition. The arena went dead silent. Naruto wasn't looking at Hinata. He was looking directly into Neji's eyes. His face was completely still. His grip on Neji's wrist was immovable. "Neji." One word. The weight of it pressed down on the arena like gravity doubling. "You are my teammate. I've watched you for months. You are strong. Genuinely strong. Your eyes see everything. Your technique is flawless. Your body is a weapon." Naruto's voice was steady. "But right now, you are being the most boring version of yourself." Neji's jaw clenched. His veins pulsed at his temples. Fate is for people too weak to change their own story. You are stronger than that. I know it because I've seen it. Every morning at training, you push yourself beyond what fate would allow. You improve beyond what destiny would permit. Naruto released Neji's wrist. "Stop hitting your cousin and start hitting the cage you've built around yourself." Neji stared at him. His Byakugan was deactivated. His hands were at his sides. Something behind his eyes was cracking. A wall he'd built over years, reinforced by pain and resentment, and a seal on his forehead that reminded him every day of his station. Naruto turned away. He looked at the proctor. "Match is over. She's down." The proctor blinked, then nodded. "Winner, Neji Hyuga." Naruto walked back to the catwalk. He picked up his apple from where he'd left it on the railing and took another bite. Lee was beside him, eyes glistening. "Naruto, that was..." He needed to hear it, brother. "A man with a boring philosophy has a boring soul. I refuse to let my teammate have a boring soul." On the arena floor, Neji stood motionless for a long time. Then he deactivated his stance. He looked at Hinata, unconscious now, being carried away by medics. He looked at the seal on his palm, and something small but real, shifted inside him. The preliminary rounds ended. The brackets for the finals were drawn. Naruto versus Neji, Lee versus Tamari. And in the showcase match, Sasuke Uchiha versus Gaara of the Sand, 1 month of preparation. Naruto didn't change his training routine. He was already at a level where preparation meant maintaining what he had rather than gaining something new. He sparred with Lee. He ran laps with Guy. He practiced his boogie-woogie chains until he could fire off 10 swaps in 3 seconds. The day of the finals arrived. The Konoha Stadium was packed. Every seat filled. The Hokage sat in his box with the Kazekage beside him. Nobody realized it was Orochimaru in disguise yet, but Naruto knew something was off. His 530,000 IQ had flagged the Kazekage's chakra signature as wrong the moment he entered the stadium. Naruto versus Neji. The crowd was buzzing. Everyone in Konoha knew about Naruto by now. The monster of Team Guy, the one-punch kid, the boy who laughed at Asanin. And everyone knew about Neji, the Hyuga prodigy, the genius of his generation, the master of the gentle fist. They faced each other in the arena. Neji's Byakugan was already active. His stance was perfect. His focus was absolute. "I've spent the last month preparing for your spatial technique," Neji said. His voice was different from the preliminaries. Steadier, less angry. "I've analyzed every swap you've made. I know your tells. I know your timing." Naruto smiled. A genuine smile. "Good. Then maybe this won't be boring." The proctor's hand dropped. "Begin!" Neji exploded forward. His speed was exceptional, Chunin level at minimum, pushing Jonin. His palm struck at Naruto's Tenketsu points with absolute precision. The Byakugan could see every point, every chakra pathway, he hit 1, 2, 5, 8, 16. Neji was landing, his palms were connecting, chakra points were being sealed. By all rights, Naruto's chakra system should have been shutting down point by point. His arms should be failing. His legs should be weakening. Naruto kept walking forward. Neji hit 32 points. His hands were a blur. 8 trigrams, 32 palms. Naruto was still walking. His expression hadn't changed. Neji hit 64. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. His final palm struck Naruto's chest dead center. The strongest strike in the rotation. Full power. Perfect form. Naruto stood there. The crowd was silent. Neji was panting. His Byakugan could see it. All 64 points were sealed. Every single one. The technique had landed perfectly. There was zero error in his execution. And Naruto Uzumaki was still standing. How? Neji whispered. Naruto looked down at him. His smile widened. My chakra pathways don't work like other people's. White eyes. The fox inside me keeps them open regardless of what you seal. Every point you close, he reopens in the same heartbeat. You're trying to dam a river by throwing pebbles. Kurama rumbled from within the seal. I live to contradict everything the Hyuga believe about chakra. It brings me joy. Neji took a step back. For the first time in the fight, his Byakugan registered something it couldn't strategize around. His perfect defense, his perfect technique, his month of preparation, all of it was clap, boogie woogie. Neji was behind Naruto. His back was to Naruto's back. He hadn't turned, he hadn't moved. He was just there. Facing the wrong direction, he spun instantly. The Byakugan gave him 360-degree vision. He knew. Naruto's fist was already there, one punch, open palm. The heel of Naruto's hand struck Neji in the solar plexus with enough force to lift the prodigy off his feet. The sound was thunderous, a booming impact that echoed off the stadium walls. Neji flew backward, skipping across the arena floor once, twice, 3 times before slamming into the far wall. He didn't get up. The crowd was silent for exactly 1 second. Then it erupted. The roar was deafening. Cheers, screams, people jumping from their seats. Because they had just watched the Hyuga prodigy, the most technically perfect fighter of his generation, throw everything he had at this monster and accomplish absolutely nothing. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto stood in the center of the arena, arms crossed. He looked up at the crowd with the expression of a man who had expected this exact result. That was better, Neji, he said, loud enough for his teammate to hear. You fought well. You just fought the wrong person. From the medical area, Neji, conscious but unable to move, heard this. And despite the pain in his chest and the humiliation of losing so completely, something in him felt lighter than it had in years. Lee was screaming from the stands, "My brother, incredible! The flames of your youth burn brighter than the sun!" Guy was weeping openly. Naturally. Tenten was applauding with a grin she couldn't suppress. And in the Kage box, the Kazekage, Orochimaru in disguise, watched this boy with narrowed eyes. Her tongue slid across her lips. The same boy who had humiliated her in the forest of death. The same spatial technique that had made her look like a fool. Her plans for the invasion suddenly felt less certain than they had that morning. Lee's match against Tamari was next. It was spectacular. Lee opened the third gate and blitzed through her wind techniques with pure speed, closing the distance and overwhelming her defenses. Tamari was strong, but Lee was Lee. He won convincingly, and Naruto's cheering from the stands was louder than the entire rest of the audience combined. Then came the main event. Sasuke Uchiha versus Gaara of the Sand. Sasuke entered the arena with the curse mark barely contained under his collar. His time training with Kakashi had given him the Chidori, lightning chakra concentrated in his hand, screaming like birds being murdered. He was faster now, stronger. He had been preparing for this fight specifically. Gaara entered with his gourd and his dead eyes. His sand swirled around him like a living armor. His arms were crossed. He said nothing. The fight began. Sasuke was impressive. Credit where due. His speed had increased dramatically. He was dodging sand, moving at Lee-level pace, his Sharingan tracking Gaara's attacks and finding openings. He landed the Chidori. The sand armor cracked. Blood flowed from Gaara's shoulder. The first time the boy had ever bled in combat, Gaara's eyes went wide. He touched the blood. He stared at it, and then he screamed. It was inhuman. The sound that came from Gaara's throat belonged to something ancient and terrible. His gourd dissolved. Sand exploding outward in every direction, more and more of it, far more than the gourd should have contained. It wrapped around his body. His arm transformed, massive, sandy, demonic. One eye turned yellow with a cross-shaped pupil, half-transformed Shukaku, a tailed beast vessel losing control. The sand arm swung. It was the size of a building. Sasuke tried to dodge. His speed was good enough for a moment. 2 moments. 3. The arm caught him. It wrapped around his entire body and slammed him into the arena wall. The impact sent cracks up the stone that reached the audience seating. People screamed and scattered. Sasuke was embedded in the wall. The curse mark erupted across his skin in response. Black marks crawling, his chakra shifting, his eyes wild and desperate. He pushed back against the sand with everything he had. Gaara's second arm formed. It was larger than the first. It pulled back like a demolition ball, and then 2 figures landed on the arena floor. Naruto and Lee stood side by side, relaxed. Lee was already unwrapping his leg weights, the heavy ones, the training ones that Guy insisted he wear at all times. They hit the ground with twin thuds that cratered the stone floor. Naruto was laughing. Full, genuine laughter from his massive chest. "He really can't catch a break," Naruto said, gesturing at Sasuke embedded in the wall. "Every time I see him, someone is beating him into furniture." Lee was grinning. His muscles were free of their weights. His body was vibrating with contained speed. "Naruto, this one, the Sand Shinobi, he is strong." "He's interesting," Naruto corrected. He looked at the half-transformed Gaara, at the demonic arm, at the sand whipping around like a storm. "A tailed beast, like me. Except his is making him crazy instead of funny." Gaara's transformed eye focused on Naruto. "You, mother wants you. Mother needs your blood. Give it to me. Yar yar." Naruto cracked his neck. He looked at Lee. "Brother, shall we educate him?" Lee's grin widened. "Yosh!" They moved simultaneously. Lee vanished. Pure speed, third gate opened, chakra flooding his muscles, his body a green blur that left after images. He appeared above Gaara and dropped an axe kick that should have split the boy in half. Sand blocked it. A wall of it, thick and fast, rising to meet Lee's leg. The impact was enormous, but Gaara's defense held. Clap! Boogie woogie. Lee was suddenly behind Gaara. His kick, still carrying all its momentum, was now heading at Gaara's unprotected back. Gaara's sand, which had risen to the front to block, was facing the wrong direction entirely. Lee's kick connected with Gaara's spine. The half-transformed Jinchuriki launched forward like a missile, directly toward Naruto, who was already waiting with his fist cocked. The punch landed in Gaara's transformed stomach. A full-force strike from Naruto Uzumaki with zero hesitation and zero mercy. The sand armor around Gaara's midsection cracked, not chipped, cracked. Fault lines spreading across the transformed shell like a shattered window. Gaara's eyes went wide. He felt it. Pain. Real pain. Something he had never experienced in his entire life. His absolute defense. The sand that his mother's spirit controlled, the barrier that had protected him from every attack since birth, was breaking. Tra! Gaara screamed. His sand whipped outward in a frenzy, a tidal wave of it filling the arena, reaching for everything. Clap, 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 clap. 3 rapid swaps. Naruto moved himself to the left, then Lee to the right, then Gaara's own sand tendril redirected into another sand tendril. The sand was attacking itself. Gaara's uncontrolled flailing was being used against him by a 12-year-old with perfect spatial awareness and timing that defied human reaction speed. "Lee! 4th gate! Gate of pain, open!" Lee's skin flushed red. His veins became visible across his entire body. The air around him superheated. He moved, and moved was no longer an adequate word. He vanished. He existed in one place and then existed in another with nothing in between. His fist hit Gaara's transformed arm. The arm, massive, demonic, made of condensed sand and tailed beast chakra, exploded from the impact point outward. Sand scattered in every direction. Gaara's transformation began receding from that arm, the power unable to maintain structural integrity against the force Lee was delivering. Gaara stumbled. His remaining arm reached out, sand trying desperately to reform. Clap! Boogie woogie! Gaara was in the air, 20 meters up. Launched there by the swap, his sand still reaching downward toward ground that was suddenly very far away. Naruto was below him. Looking up, his right hand was open. Black and red energy was condensing around it, pulling inward, tighter, tighter. The air distorting, gravity seeming to bend toward his palm. Lightning crackled at the edge of the energy, red and black bolts arcing between his fingers. black chakra flash. He jumped, straight up, 20 meters in a single leap. His body rocketed toward Gaara like a missile, fist first, trailing black and red lightning that scarred the air behind him. The impact was visible from outside the stadium. A pillar of black and red light erupted upward from the arena floor, punching through the air and into the sky like a laser. The sound wasn't a sound. It was a physical force that pressed down on every person in the stadium. People gripped their seats. The Hokage stood. The Kazekage leaned forward, eyes wide. When the light cleared, Gaara was at the bottom of a crater in the arena floor. His transformation was completely gone. Every trace of Shukaku had receded. The sand had fallen inert around him, lifeless, returning to regular granules. His eyes were normal and wide and terrified. He was staring up at Naruto, who had landed at the crater's edge. His body was untouched. His breathing was steady. Gaara's lip trembled. What? What are you? Naruto looked down at him. His expression was complicated. There was victory there, obviously, but something else too. Recognition, because he could feel it. The loneliness, the beast sealed inside, the isolation, the madness that came from a lifetime of being feared. I'm you, Naruto said, except I found better friends. He extended his hand downward, an offer. Gaara stared at the hand. His entire worldview, kill or be killed, love only yourself, trust no one, was crumbling in real time. His body was broken. His defense was gone. This person who had just destroyed him was offering help. Gaara didn't take the hand. He couldn't process it yet. But he didn't attack either. He just lay there, staring. The crowd was on their feet. Every single person. The roar was deafening. People were hugging strangers. Children were mimicking Naruto's clap motion. Someone in the stands was already painting a banner. Temari and Kankuro were frozen in the contestant box. Temari's mouth was open. Kankuro had dropped his puppet. Their invincible brother, the weapon their village had crafted, the monster they feared, had been dismantled by a 12-year-old in under 3 minutes. What do they feed these Konoha kids? Kankuro whispered. From the medical area, Sasuke watched. The curse mark was burning under his skin. He had been extracted from the wall by medics and was watching through one swollen eye as Naruto stood at the edge of the crater, hands in his pockets, the entire stadium chanting his name. Something ugly and thorned was growing in Sasuke's chest. Something that whispered about power and worthiness and the distance between himself and that monster in the arena. The invasion happened then. Orochimaru's plan activated. The Kazekage revealed herself. Anbu scrambled. Sound and sand ninja flooded the village. Explosions rocked the walls. Giant summoned snakes attacked from outside. But Team Guy was Team Guy. Guy opened the 6th gate and became a one-man army, plowing through Sound Jonin like they were made of paper. Neji sealed 30 enemies in 15 minutes, his Byakugan and gentle fists turning every attacker into a limp body on the ground. Tenten rained weapons from rooftops with the precision of a machine gun. And Naruto? Naruto found the biggest snake, the main summon, the one attacking the north wall, 60 meters long, scales like iron, jaws that could swallow buildings. He looked at it. He looked at Lee, who had appeared beside him. Brother, you want the head or the tail? The head! 5th gate! Gate of limit! Open! Lee was a green comet. He launched himself at the snake's skull and began punching it, each blow creating shockwaves that cracked the snake's scales and drove its head toward the ground. Naruto walked toward its body. He raised one fist, black and red energy condensed. Rasengan. The spiraling sphere formed in his palm, blue and white, rotating at infinite speed, perfectly formed. But he wasn't done. He pushed more chakra into it. Kurama's chakra. The Rasengan turned gold. Then it grew. Then it grew more. Giant Rasengan. He slammed it into the snake's body. The snake didn't just die. It evaporated from the point of impact outward. The Rasengan bored through its body and out the other side, continuing forward into the ground and leaving a trench 20 meters long and 5 meters deep. The snake collapsed in 2 halves, dead before it hit the ground. The invasion was quelled in 30 minutes. Konoha's forces were strong, and with Team Guy fighting at full capacity, the enemy simply couldn't maintain their offensive. Orochimaru fled after the 3rd Hokage wounded her with the Reaper Death Seal. The old man survived, but barely. His strength drained and his body aged. In the aftermath, Naruto stood on the Hokage monument, looking down at the village. Smoke was rising from several districts. Buildings were damaged. People were hurt. Lee stood beside him. Neither of them spoke for a moment. "We'll rebuild," Naruto said. "Of course," Lee said, his energy already returning. "The flames of youth cannot be extinguished by a mere invasion." Naruto smirked. "That's why you're my brother." Inside the seal, Kurama stirred. "Kid, the old man is dying. They'll need a new Hokage." Naruto felt it, the weight of what was coming. The village needed leadership. The current Hokage was on his deathbed. They would need to find someone strong enough, respected enough, willing enough to take the hat. He knew who they would choose to find that person. The weeks after the invasion were a haze of reconstruction and grief. The third Hokage survived but retired, his body too weakened by the Reaper death seal to continue serving. The village needed a fifth Hokage. The elders deliberated. Arguments flew. Names were proposed and rejected. And then Jiraiya of the Sannin returned to the village. He arrived through the main gate without fanfare. White-haired, red-marked, massive in his own right. His reputation preceded him. One of the three legendary Sannin, master of sage techniques, author of the Icha Icha series, wanderer, spy master, and the man who trained the fourth Hokage. Naruto was eating ramen when he heard the news. He finished his bowl, paid his tab, and went hunting. He found Jiraiya exactly where Kurama said he'd be, pressed against the wooden slats of the women's hot springs fence, one eye peering through a gap, notebook in hand, giggling with the enthusiasm of a teenager. Naruto landed behind him with a thud that shook the ground. Jiraiya spun around, notebook disappearing. His expression shifted from surprise to assessment in a heartbeat. His trained eyes cataloging Naruto's size, his stance, his chakra, the seal he could sense humming beneath the boy's surface. "Well," Jiraiya said, eyebrows rising, "you're Minato's kid, and you're a pervert in broad daylight." Jiraiya grinned. "I prefer super pervert. There's a distinction." Naruto crossed his arms. His face went completely serious. The air changed. "Old man, I have a question for you, the most important question a man can be asked." Jiraiya sensed it. Something in this kid's energy shifted, a gravity, a seriousness that belonged on a battlefield rather than behind a hot spring. He straightened up. "Hit me. What kind of woman is your type?" Jiraiya blinked. Then his face split into the widest, most genuine grin he'd worn in years. He stroked his chin. He looked at the sky. He took a deep, theatrical breath. "Kid, I'm going to give you the honest truth, the full, unfiltered truth of a man who has traveled every nation and seen every kind of beauty this world has to offer." He pointed at Naruto with his whole hand. "I like a tall, mature woman, full-figured, confident, a woman who could punch me through a wall and I thank her for it. I like Tsunade specifically. She is the pinnacle, the apex, has the biggest tits in the shinobi world, the absolute masterwork of..." "Stop!" Naruto held up his hand. Jiraiya stopped. Naruto's eyes were closed. He was nodding slowly. Something was building in him, an emotion so powerful it was making the ground vibrate. "I respect that, big dog." He extended his hand for a dap. His voice was thick with feeling, a man of true culture, a man whose soul I can see clearly. You understand what matters." Jiraiya shook the hand. His grip was strong, but Naruto's was stronger. They shook like men who had known each other for decades rather than seconds. "Kid," Jiraiya said, grinning, "I think we're going to get along beautifully. We already do, I can feel it. My 530,000 IQ confirms it. You're what now? We'll discuss it over dinner. You're buying." Wait, why am I buying?" "Because you're the elder, and because you're a pervert. Consider it penance." Jiraiya laughed. A real laugh from his gut. It had been a long time since someone had made him laugh like that. He looked at this boy, this massive, scarred, impossibly confident 12-year-old who radiated the energy of a man who had lived a full life already, and he felt something click into place. "All right, kid, I'll buy dinner. And while we eat, you're going to show me that seal technique of yours, the clapping one. My spy network's been hearing about a Konohajinen who can swap anything by clapping. I assumed it was exaggerated." "It isn't," Naruto said, already walking toward the restaurant district. "Nothing about me is exaggerated. I am exactly as impressive as described. Humble too. Humility is for people who have something to be humble about. I am perfect. Let's eat." Jiraiya followed, shaking his head and grinning. This was going to be the greatest student he ever had. He could feel it in his old bones, over dinner, which Jiraiya did indeed pay for, and which Naruto consumed an amount of food that made the restaurant owner weep. They discussed the mission. Find Tsunade. Convince her to become the 5th Hokage. Bring her back. She's been gambling her way across the continent, Jiraiya explained, picking at his food, running from responsibility, running from grief. She lost too many people and decided the village wasn't worth the pain anymore. Naruto chewed thoughtfully. What kind of woman is she? Strong, stubborn, angry, brilliant, and probably drunk right now. Perfect. We leave tomorrow. Just like that, I have a 530,000 IQ. I don't need preparation time. I need a direction to walk in. They left at dawn. The journey took 2 weeks of traveling, asking questions at gambling dens, following trails of debt and destroyed card tables. Jiraiya trained Naruto as they traveled, teaching him the Rasengan's principles, which Naruto absorbed in hours rather than weeks. His battle instincts from Todo's soul making chakra manipulation feel like second nature, and refining his understanding of Kurama's power. Your control is already insane for your age, Jiraiya observed one evening as Naruto held a perfect Rasengan in his palm. The 4th took weeks to develop this. You did it in a day. 530,000 IQ. You keep saying that number. Where did you get it? I calculated it. How? By being myself and observing the result. That's not how IQ works. It is how my IQ works. Jiraiya gave up arguing. He learned quickly that Naruto existed in a reality slightly adjacent to everyone else's, and the best approach was to simply accept his statements and move forward. They found Tsunade in a gambling town near the border, sitting at a bar, surrounded by empty sock bottles and a pile of losing lottery tickets. Shizune hovered behind her, worried and exhausted. Naruto entered the bar. He had to duck under the doorframe. His presence filled the entire establishment. Every patron turned to look at him. Several left immediately. Tsunade didn't look up. She was drinking. Go away, Jiraiya. I already told you, I'm done with the village. It's fine, Jiraiya said from behind Naruto. He wanted to talk to you first anyway. Tsunade finally looked up. Her eyes sharp despite the alcohol, carrying decades of combat experience, locked onto Naruto. She took in his size, his scars, his age. The contradiction of all three. A kid? She took another drink. You brought me a kid? Naruto sat down on the stool next to her. The stool groaned under his weight. He picked up her sake bottle, examined it, put it back. You're Tsunade, the strongest woman alive, medical genius, Sannin, slug sage. He turned to look at her directly. And you're here drinking alone because you're afraid. Tsunade's hand tightened on her glass. Her eyes went dangerous. Excuse me? My 530,000 IQ can read people instantly. You lost people you loved. You're terrified of losing more. So you ran. Naruto's voice was steady, matter of fact. It's boring. The glass in Tsunade's hand cracked. Who the hell do you think you? I think I'm the strongest person in this bar. And the smartest. And I think you know the village needs you, and you're too scared to admit that you want to go back. He stood up from the stool. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to make you a bet. Tsunade's eye twitched. Her weakness, her addiction, a bet. If I can master a technique you think is impossible within 1 week, you come back and become Hokage. Naruto crossed his arms. If I fail, you can have my wallet and Jiraiya's. Hey, Jiraiya started. Deal? Tsunade stared at him. Then she laughed. A bitter, drunk laugh. Fine. Kid, you want a challenge? Learn to add elemental nature to the Rasengan. It took the 4th Hokage 3 years just to conceive the theory, and he died before completing it. You have 7 days. Enjoy failure. She went back to drinking. Naruto went outside. He found an open training field. He created 3 shadow clones, because 3 was all he needed when each one had his full chakra and his 530,000 IQ. They worked in parallel. Wind chakra, rotation, shape manipulation. 3 problems solved simultaneously. He did it in 4 days. On the morning of the 5th day, Naruto walked back into the bar. Tsunade was still there, still drinking. She looked up at him with bloodshot eyes and a sneer. Back to admit you failed? Naruto raised his hand. In his palm, a Rasengan formed, blue, spinning, perfect. Then the pitch changed. Wind chakra cut into the sphere like a blade, expanding it, forming it into a shuriken of pure chakra that screamed as it spun. The air in the bar was sucked toward it. Bottles rattled, papers flew. Shizune gasped. Wind release. Rasen Shuriken. It was complete, perfect. A technique the fourth Hokage couldn't finish. Done in 4 days by a 12-year-old reincarnation of the baddest man who ever lived. Tsunade's sake bottle fell from her hand and shattered on the floor. She stared at the technique. Her analytical mind, the greatest medical mind in history, could see the damage it would cause. Millions of microscopic wind blades. Cellular-level destruction. Irreversible. This wasn't a jutsu. This was a war crime in sphere form. Impossible, she whispered. Pack your bags, Granny. You're the 5th Hokage. Naruto dissolved the Rasen Shuriken. Also, you owe me dinner for the bet. Tsunade was silent for a long time. She looked at the empty bottles around her, at Shizune's hopeful face, at Jiraiya's grin, at this impossible boy who had just done the impossible. What's your name? She asked. Naruto Uzumaki. Minato's boy. Guilty. Tsunade stood up. She was taller than expected when she straightened to full height. Her eyes cleared. Something in them was reigniting, a flame she had tried to drown in sake for years. Fine, she said. I'll be Hokage, but only because I want to see what else you can do. Naruto grinned. Smart woman, my 530,000 IQ approves. The return to Konoha was triumphant. Tsunade took the hat. The village stabilized. Missions resumed. Life continued. But underneath it, things were shifting. Sasuke was changing. The curse mark whispered to him at night. The image of Naruto, laughing in the arena, standing over Gaara's crater, walking away from every fight without a scratch, burned in his mind like acid. Itachi was still out there, still alive, still stronger than Sasuke. And every day, Sasuke was reminded that he wasn't even the strongest person in his own generation, let alone strong enough to kill his brother. Orochimaru's agents came to him in the middle of the night. They promised power. They promised the strength to kill Itachi. All he had to do was leave. Leave the village. Leave everything behind. Come to the snake and be remade. Sasuke said yes. The news hit Team Guy through official channels. Sasuke Uchiha had defected. He had knocked out Sakura, who tried to stop him. He had joined a group of Sound Ninja, Orochimaru's elite, and was heading for the border. Tsunade assembled a retrieval team. Shikamaru was given leadership of the primary squad. His tactical mind was ideal for pursuit and engagement planning. The squad included Choji, Kiba, Neji, and Lee, and Naruto. Naruto wasn't officially assigned. He wasn't asked. He just appeared at the gate when the squad was leaving, arms crossed, face set in stone. Nobody invited you, Shikamaru said, though his expression showed relief rather than annoyance. I invited myself. My 530,000 IQ determined this mission needed me. Also, the emo deserves a lecture about his terrible life choices. Shikamaru sighed. Troublesome. Fine, let's go. The pursuit was fast and violent. Orochimaru's Sound Four were powerful, each one a specialist, each one carrying a curse mark, each one loyal enough to die for their master's plan. They didn't matter. The first one, Jirobo, the big one, the earth type, tried to stop the squad by trapping them in a dome of earth. Choji volunteered to stay behind. Naruto looked at the dome. He looked at Choji. He clapped. Boogie woogie. Jirobo was outside his own dome. Choji was free. Jirobo blinked in the sunlight, confused. Naruto punched him once, in the face. Full power, Jirobo went through 3 trees and stopped moving. Next, Naruto said. The squad kept moving. Kidomaru, the spider user, the long-range fighter, set up in the canopy, weaving webs and firing arrows of solidified webbing with deadly accuracy. He was smart. He was distant. He was calculating. Neji started to engage. His Byakugan tracked the arrows. His rotation deflected them. Clap! Boogie woogie. Kidomaru was suddenly on the ground, 10 meters from Naruto. His bow, which had been in his hands, was now in a tree 50 meters away. He was standing in the open, all 6 arms empty, eyes wide. Leaf Hurricane! Lee appeared from below, 5th gate burning, and kicked Kidomaru so hard in the ribs that the sound echoed across the entire forest. Kidomaru folded and was done. 2 down, brother, Lee announced. Keep moving, Naruto said. Sakan and Ukon, the twin-bodied fighter, tried to engage Kiba. The curse mark activated. 2 heads, 2 bodies sharing 1 space. It was disturbing and effective. Clap, clap. Boogie woogie, boogie woogie. Sakan was separated from his own brother, physically pulled apart by being swapped in different directions simultaneously. The 2 halves of the fighter, usually occupying 1 body, were now 20 meters apart. Their fusion technique couldn't reactivate at that distance. Neji hit Sakon. Lee hit Ukon. Both went down. 3, Naruto counted. The final barrier was Tayuya, the flute player, the genjutsu specialist. Her music filled the forest, creating illusions, summoning spectral warriors. Naruto was immune to genjutsu. Kurama broke any attempt at mental manipulation before it could take hold. The spectral warriors meant nothing to a man who could swap their positions at will, making them attack each other. Naruto walked through her genjutsu like it didn't exist. He appeared in front of her. She raised her flute. He took it from her hand. Just took it. His massive fingers plucked it away before she could react. "You're a musician," Naruto said, snapping the flute in half. "Find a different career." He flicked her forehead with one finger. The force sent her flying backward into a tree. She was unconscious before she hit it. 4 for 4, Shikamaru said from behind, his hands in his pockets. "This is the least troublesome retrieval mission in history." "You're welcome," Naruto said. "Now where is the emo?" The Valley of the End, 2 massive statues carved into the cliff face. Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, founders of the village, enemies eternal. Between them, a waterfall crashed into a basin that turned into a river. The spray caught the moonlight. The sound was thunderous and constant. Sasuke Uchiha stood on top of the Madara statue. He had activated Curse Mark Stage 2. His skin was gray. Black marks crawled across every surface. 2 massive hand-shaped wings extended from his back, leathery and demonic. His eyes were red, 3 Tomoe Sharingan spinning, burning with hatred and confusion, and something that might have been sadness if he'd ever allowed himself to feel it. He looked down at the river basin, at the figure standing on the water's surface far below. Naruto stood with his hands in his pockets. The water beneath his feet was perfectly still despite the waterfall's chaos, like the river itself was too afraid to disturb him. "You followed me," Sasuke called down. His voice echoed off the stone. It was deeper, distorted by the transformation. "I was in the area," Naruto shrugged. "Also, your little bodyguards were boring. I beat all 4 of them in less time than it takes to eat lunch." Sasuke's jaw tightened. "I'm leaving, Naruto. I'm going to Orochimaru. I'm going to get strong enough to kill my brother. You can either let me go or—" "Sasuke," Naruto's voice cut through the waterfall's roar like a blade through silk. "You have terrible taste in women. What does that have to do with—" "You rejected Sakura's affection, a girl who genuinely, truly loved you. Pink hair, pretty face, completely devoted, and you rejected her. You ran to a snake man, a man who wants to wear your body like a suit." Naruto tilted his head. "I think you are simply attracted to men. It means you're gay and your soul is as ugly as those wings." The silence that followed was volcanic. Sasuke screamed, "I'll kill you!" Pure rage, pure humiliation. Every button Naruto wanted to push, pushed simultaneously. The curse mark flared, black chakra erupting from Sasuke's body, visible as a column of malicious energy. Lightning gathered in his left hand. The sound was ungodly, 1,000 birds screaming in agony, amplified by the curse mark's power, turning the jutsu into something darker and more destructive than Kakashi ever intended. Black Chidori! Sasuke launched from the statue like a missile, wings spread, speed beyond anything he'd ever achieved. He was an arrow of hatred and lightning, screaming toward Naruto with everything he had. Naruto watched him come. He raised his hands, his palms came together, clap, boogie woogie. Sasuke's world inverted. One moment, he was screaming toward Naruto at maximum velocity. Black Chidori extended, aimed at his rival's heart. The next moment, he was screaming at maximum velocity toward the stone face of the Madara statue. His arm, still carrying the full charge of lightning, punched through the statue's nose. Stone exploded outward. His arm went elbow deep into rock. He was stuck. Dangling from the statue's face by his own arm, wings flapping uselessly, Black Chidori dissipating into the stone. His eyes were wide. His brain was trying to process what had just happened and failing completely. Below, Naruto was walking across the water's surface. Each step was deliberate, unhurried. His right fist hung at his side, and around it, something was gathering. Black energy, red lightning. The air itself seemed to warp around his knuckles, bending inward like reality was being pulled toward his fist. The water beneath his feet began to ripple outward, not from movement but from the sheer pressure his gathering chakra was exerting on the physical world. A man with boring taste, Naruto said, his voice carrying easily despite the waterfall, cannot defeat a man with 530,000 IQ. Sasuke was ripping at the stone, trying to free his arm. The curse mark was blazing, giving him strength. Naruto appeared in front of him. He didn't clap, he didn't swap, he simply jumped. And a jump from Naruto Uzumaki covered 50 meters in a heartbeat. He was in the air, level with Sasuke, fist pulled back. The energy around his hand was complete now. A sphere of absolute destruction, black at the center, red lightning arcing from it in every direction. The air within 2 meters of it literally vibrating at a frequency that made Sasuke's bones hurt. Black chakra flash. He hit Sasuke in the spine. The world went white, then black. Then every color at once. The impact created a shockwave that was visible. An expanding ring of displaced air that blew the waterfall sideways. Water that had been falling vertically was suddenly flowing horizontally for 3 full seconds. The Madara statue's face, already damaged by Sasuke's Chidori, cracked further, then cracked more. Then a section of it the size of a house broke free and tumbled down the cliff face. The curse mark on Sasuke's body did something it had never done before. It shattered. The black marks that had been crawling across his skin, the physical manifestation of Orochimaru's influence, the corruptive seal that had been whispering to him for months, cracked like glass. Pieces of it fell away like burned paper, dissolving into nothing before they hit the ground. The wings disintegrated. The gray skin receded. His eyes went from red to black in an instant as the Sharingan deactivated involuntarily. Sasuke's mouth opened in a silent scream. His body went limp, freed from the stone by the sheer force of the impact, and he was launched through the waterfall, through the spray, skipping across the river's surface like a stone thrown by something ancient and terrible. Once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, skipping further and further until his body hit the far shore and dug a trench in the earth 10 meters long. He stopped moving. The valley was silent except for the waterfall resuming its normal flow. Naruto landed on the water. He rolled his shoulders, cracked his neck. His fist was still smoking, residual black and red energy dissipating into the air like steam. He walked across the water toward the far shore. Each step was unhurried. He reached Sasuke's body, crumpled, broken, but breathing. The curse mark was gone, completely gone. There wasn't a trace of Orochimaru's influence left on him. Naruto reached down, grabbed Sasuke by the back of his shirt, lifted him with one arm and threw him over his shoulder like a sack of rice. Yar yar. He looked up at the statues of Hashirama and Madara. Those two fought here and destroyed the landscape, called it an even match. He started walking. It took me 1 hit. Inside the seal, Kurama was grinning. I've been alive for centuries, seen every Hokage, every war, every legendary battle, and that was the most one-sided fight in history. Everything I do is one-sided, Naruto replied internally. Because I am always on the winning side. That barely makes sense. 530,000 IQ, Fox. You wouldn't understand. The walk back was long. The squad met him halfway, Lee running at the front, eyes wide with concern that melted into a massive grin when he saw Naruto walking toward them with Sasuke over his shoulder and 0 injuries on his body. Naruto, my brother, you did it! Was there doubt? Lee's eyes sparkled. Never. They collided in another embrace. Sasuke, still over Naruto's shoulder, was jostled by the impact. He groaned. Nobody cared. Shikamaru arrived next, hands in his pockets, looking at the scene with an expression that was equal parts relief and exasperation. Mission complete. Everyone alive. Nobody injured. Enemies neutralized. Defector retrieved. He sighed. This is the first retrieval mission in Konoha history with a 0 casualty result. You're welcome, Naruto said. Again, Neji appeared from the trees. He looked at Naruto, at Sasuke, at the complete absence of damage on any squad member. Something that might have been a smile flickered at the corner of his mouth. Acceptable, Neji said. From Neji, that was basically a standing ovation. The return to Konoha was fast. Sasuke was taken to the hospital, his body damaged but his life secure. The curse mark was gone. Medical analysis confirmed it. Tsunade herself examined him and declared it unprecedented. Whatever hit him didn't just break the seal, Tsunade told Naruto in her office, staring at medical scans with disbelief. It annihilated it on a cellular level. Every trace of foreign chakra in his system was obliterated in a single instant. I've never seen anything like it. Naruto shrugged. I hit him hard enough to fix him. Simple. That's insane. That's 530,000 IQ medicine. Tsunade stared at him, then she laughed. A real laugh that shook her shoulders and made Shizune smile. Kid, you're insane. You're absolutely insane. I prefer transcendent, but I'll accept insane from you, Granny. Don't call me Granny. Then don't call me Kid. They stared at each other. Then they both grinned. A mutual respect that needed no further words. The village was safe. Sasuke was home. The curse mark was destroyed. The Sound Four were defeated. Orochimaru's plan had failed completely. That evening, Naruto sat on the Hokage monument. The village sprawled below him, lights flickering on as evening fell, the sounds of a community recovering and rebuilding. Lee was beside him, both of them eating pork buns from a bag, legs dangling over the fourth Hokage's stone hair. Brother, Lee said between bites, what happens next? Naruto looked at the sky. Stars were beginning to appear. Somewhere out there, Orochimaru was licking her wounds. The Akatsuki were gathering. He knew about them. Jiraiya had briefed him. Red clouds, S-rank criminals, hunting-tailed beasts hunting him. He took another bite of his pork bun. Next, Naruto said, his deep voice carrying across the monument, comes the part where they learn they're hunting something they can't kill. Lee grinned. And we'll face it together? Naruto looked at his brother. This ridiculous, magnificent, bowl-cut-wearing force of youth who had earned his loyalty with a single answer about tall women. His best friend, his real best friend, a memory that didn't need to be fabricated. Always, brother. He bumped Lee's fist with his own. 530,000 IQ never fights alone. Below them, the village was alive, healing, growing stronger, and Naruto Uzumaki, the reincarnation of Aoi Todo, the strongest 12-year-old to ever walk the earth. The man with 530,000 IQ and boogie-woogie and a punch that could break curses, sat on his father's stone head and waited for the world to bring him something worth his time. It would. Very soon, inside the seal, Kurama yawned. Kit, one more thing. What? Stop fabricating memories of you and Lee eating ramen together as children. I have to watch them every time. It's disturbing. Those memories are real, Fox. You met him 4 months ago. 4 months. 4 decades. Brotherhood transcends time. I hate you. You love me. Shut up. 2.5 years passed like a thunderstorm moving across a continent, fast, loud, and leaving everything different in its wake. Jiraiya took Naruto across every country worth naming, and several that weren't. They trained on mountains. They trained in deserts. They trained at the bottom of gorges, where the sun only touched for 20 minutes a day, and the rest was spent dodging falling rocks that Jiraiya launched at Naruto's head to build reflexes. They trained with toads the size of buildings. They trained with sages whose beards touched the floor and whose eyes held the weight of centuries. Naruto broke every training regimen Jiraiya designed within the first week. Every time, without exception. You're supposed to struggle, Jiraiya said one evening, watching his student hold a perfect sage mode while simultaneously maintaining 3 Rasengans and 3 shadow clones. This is supposed to take months, years. I am one of 3 people alive who can even do this, and it took me 530,000 IQ, old man. Naruto's voice, deeper now, 2.5 years of growth, having turned a rumble into something closer to the sound a mountain would make if it could speak, carried across the training field. You keep forgetting. You keep saying that number, because it's real. It isn't. Yar, even my master lacks faith. The training accomplished 3 things. First, Sage Mode. Natural energy integrated into his body like water into soil. When Naruto entered Sage Mode, the pigmentation around his eyes shifted. Orange, toad-like, ancient. His senses extended for kilometers. His strikes carried the weight of the earth itself behind them. Combined with Kurama's power, it made him something that the word Jinchuriki was too small to contain. Second, full cooperation with Kurama. Not forced, not demanded. Earned through 2.5 years of constant internal negotiation, shared combat, and an increasingly bizarre friendship that neither of them would ever admit to publicly. We make a good team, Fox. We make an absurd team. There is a difference. Same thing. It absolutely is. 530,000 IQ, Kurama. Accept it. Third, the Rasengan became something more. Every variant, every form. Wind release compression, sage enhanced devastation. Kurama-powered expansion. By the time training ended, Naruto's Rasen Shuriken could flatten a mountainside and his giant Rasengan could crater a valley, and his body, 2.5 years, turned the wall of muscle into a fortress. 6'4" now, still growing, his frame a sculptor's fever dream of developed combat architecture. The scar from his temple to his jaw had company now. Training marks, battle souvenirs, each one earned and each one a story Jiraiya would tell to anyone who bought him sake. His blonde hair was still short and wild. His blue eyes still carried the same impossible intensity, but there was something new behind them. A patience that came from knowing exactly how strong he was and understanding that the world would eventually bring him something worthy of it. He returned to Konoha on a morning in late spring. The gates were the same. The village looked the same. The guards at the post were the same two Chunin who had been there when he left. They stared at him as he walked through. One of them dropped his coffee. Naruto walked down the main street. People turned. People stared. A civilian woman bumped into a cart because she was looking at him instead of where she was going. Children pointed. An old man said something to his wife that made her fan herself. He ignored all of it. He was heading for one place, the training ground. He got there in 4 minutes, and waiting for him. Because Brotherhood operates on frequencies that require neither words nor notice, was Rock Lee. Lee was different too. Taller, leaner. His frame carried the density of someone who had spent 2.5 years pushing the limits of what a human body could endure. His bowl cut was the same. His leg warmers were the same. His eyes were the same. Burning with an intensity that could ignite paper at 20 paces, they saw each other from 100 meters away. Lee's face split into a grin so wide it threatened to divide his skull. Naruto's face matched it. They ran. Both of them. Full speed across the training ground, the earth cracking under their footfalls, dust exploding in twin trails behind them. They collided. The embrace created a shockwave that blew every leaf off every tree within 30 meters. The sound was thunder. Pure, honest, ridiculous thunder born from two men who had missed each other the way seas miss their shores. My brother! Lee's voice was a tsunami of emotion. You have grown. You are enormous. Your flames of youth burn brighter than ever. Lee. Naruto's voice cracked, the only time in 2.5 years it had done anything other than command. Do you remember the day before I left, when we shared those pork buns on the monument and you said, I remember. No matter how far you go, our brotherhood transcends distance. I said those exact words. Inside the seal, Kurama closed his eyes. He didn't say those words. They never shared pork buns that specific day. I was there. Shut up, Fox. Let me have this. You are having a hallucination. Brotherhood is never a hallucination. They held the embrace for 15 full seconds. Guy appeared from somewhere, possibly from the pure condensation of emotional energy in the area, and joined. The three of them were sobbing, holding each other, radiating masculine affection in waves that made birds change their flight paths to avoid the area. Neji found them 20 minutes later. He was standing at the training ground's edge, arms crossed, watching with an expression that had evolved over 2.5 years from existential crisis to reluctant acceptance. His hair was longer, his frame had filled, his Byakugan was stronger. He looked at Naruto. Naruto looked at him. Neji, Naruto. A pause. Then Naruto extended his fist. Neji stared at it. His jaw worked. His pride, the Hyuga pride that he had spent years both fighting against and hiding behind, wrestled visibly with the gesture. He bumped it. It cost him everything. But he did it. Your taste in women? Naruto asked. Neji's eye twitched. Still none of your business. Better answer than last time. You've grown. Naruto grinned. I'll accept it. Tenten appeared next. She looked at Naruto, then at her notebook, then at Naruto again. She flipped to a page, crossed something out, and wrote something new. What does that say? Naruto asked. Still terrifying, somehow more so. Direct quote from my brain. Accurate. The team was back, older, stronger, still ridiculous. Tsunade summoned him to her office that afternoon. She was behind her desk, sake bottle present, paperwork mountains taller than ever, her expression carrying the weight of a Hokage who had been managing a village through wartime tensions for 2.5 years. Naruto ducked through her doorframe. The office felt smaller with him in it. Tsunade looked at him over her interlinked fingers. Her eyes tracked his frame, his height, the new scars, the absolute solidity of his stance. "You're bigger," she said. "My body continues to honor the temple it houses. Jiraiya says you completed Sage Mode in 3 weeks. He said it took him longer. Yes, my 530,000 IQ accelerates all learning." Tsunade leaned back. She pulled a file from under the psych bottle and tossed it across the desk. It landed at the edge. Naruto picked it up. Red clouds on the cover. 9 names, 9 faces, 9 threat profiles. "Akatsuki," Tsunade said. "They've been active while you were gone. They've captured 2 Jinchuriki already, the 5 tails and the 2 tails. Both hosts are dead." Naruto looked at the file. His eyes moved across the names. Deidara, Sasori, Hidan, Kakuzu, Itachi, Kasame, Konan, Toby. How many of them? His voice was level. 10 active members, all S rank, all missing nin from major villages, each one individually capable of destroying a small country. Naruto closed the file. He set it back on the desk. "One at a time or all together?" Tsunade stared at him. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "That's Naruto. This is serious. These people have killed." "I asked a question, Granny." Tsunade exhaled. She reached for her sake. "One at a time, probably. They work in pairs." Naruto nodded once. He turned toward the door. "Yar yar. Pairs. Boring numbers. If they all came at once, maybe my 530,000 IQ would feel challenged." He walked out. Tsunade took a very long drink. The news came 3 days later. Gaara had been taken. The Kazekage, the boy who had become something remarkable in the years since Naruto's fist cracked his absolute defense, was gone. Deidara of the Akatsuki had attacked Sunagakure directly, an aerial assault. Explosions that rained from above like the sky itself was angry. Gaara had protected his village by containing Deidara's bombs with his sand, spending every ounce of his chakra shielding civilians instead of himself. They took him while he was empty, while he was spent, while he had given everything for people who, years ago, would have celebrated his death. The message arrived at dawn. Naruto was already awake, training with Lee, as always. Their morning routine unbroken across years and distance, a messenger hawk. Tsunade's summons, the words Kazekage captured burning in Naruto's mind before the briefing even started. He was at the gates in 90 seconds. Lee was beside him in 91. "Brother." "I know." Naruto's voice carried a different weight. The usual amusement was buried under something heavier, something that rumbled like tectonic plates preparing to move. "He's interesting. One of the only people alive who fought me and understood what it meant." "Then we go?" "We go." Team Guy assembled in 4 minutes. Neji, Tenten, Naruto. Guy joined as squad leader, his expression serious, his jumpsuit somehow even greener than before, his focus absolute. They moved at full speed towards Sunagakure. 3 days of travel compressed into 1.5 by running at a pace that made the trees blur and the ground shake under their collective footfalls. Sunagakure was in mourning when they arrived. The village looked wounded. Craters in the sand where bombs had fallen, buildings with their walls blown inward, medical tents stretching in rows across the main plaza. Kankuro was in a hospital bed, poisoned by Sasori during a failed pursuit. Tamari was at the gate when they arrived. She was different. The war fan was larger. Her frame was stronger. Her expression carried the edge of someone who had just lost their younger brother and intended to get him back through whatever force the universe required. She saw Naruto first. Because he was impossible to miss, her eyes tracked him as he approached, taking in the height, the mass, the way the ground seemed to acknowledge his presence. Something shifted in her expression. Something she pushed down immediately. "You're late," she said. Her voice was sharp enough to cut steel. "I came the moment I heard. It's been 2 days. I was in a different country. Excuses." Naruto looked at her. Something in his chest. Something that had nothing to do with Kurama or chakra or 530,000 IQ stirred. He pushed it aside. There was a mission. "We'll get him back," Naruto said. It was a statement of fact. Tamari's jaw tightened. She nodded once. "You'd better." They tracked Deidara and Sasori to a sealed cave complex in the river country. Intelligence from Sunagakure's scouts, supplemented by Neji's Byakugan scanning the terrain from 3 kilometers out. The cave entrance was sealed with a barrier that required simultaneous deactivation from 5 points. "Team Guy handles the barrier," Guy said. "Naruto, you and Chiyoba-sama go in. Chiyo, an ancient woman from Sunagakure, puppet master, creator of poisons that had destroyed armies, stood beside Naruto at the entrance. She was small, he was enormous. The visual contrast was absurd. "Boy," Chiyo said, looking up at him, "you are large. My body is a temple. You're also young enough to be my great-great-grandson. And yet here we are. Shall we?" The barrier fell. They entered. Inside the cave, Gaara's body was laid on a stone slab, still, unmoving. The Three Tails extraction process was complete. The Akatsuki statue had already consumed Shukaku. The one tail was gone. Gaara was dead. Standing above him were two figures. Sasori of the red sand, hidden inside his puppet Hiriko, a hulking scorpion-like shell. And Deidara, blonde, one eye scoped, his hands chewing clay into explosive art, grinning with the satisfaction of someone who had just killed a Kage. "Oh?" Deidara's visible eye focused on Naruto. "They sent the Nine-Tails vessel himself. How convenient, yeah, saves us a trip." Naruto was looking at Gaara. His expression was stone. His fists were at his sides. His chakra, which he usually kept contained as a courtesy to the people around him, was leaking. The air pressure in the cave was increasing by the second. "Which one of you killed him?" "It was a statement." Deidara grinned. "My art captured him. Does that count? Because art..." Let me rephrase. Naruto's eyes locked onto Deidara. The blue was burning with something that made the temperature drop. "Which one of you wants to die first?" Deidara blinked, then laughed. "Big talk, yeah. Let me show you what true art..." He was already moving. His hand opened and a clay bird erupted, massive, white, carrying enough explosive chakra to level the cave. It dove toward Naruto at full speed. Clap! Boogie woogie! The clay bird was suddenly behind Deidara, facing the wrong direction. Moving away from Naruto at the same speed it had been approaching, it hit the cave wall and exploded, but it was Deidara's own wall, Deidara's own position that caught the shockwave. Deidara, who was launched forward by the blast of his own creation, he tumbled across the cave floor, rolling, coming up already shaping more clay. "Chiyo-ba-sama," Naruto said without looking back. "Handle the puppet. The bomber is mine." Chiyo was already moving towards Sasori, her fingers trailing chakra threads. "Don't take too long, boy." Deidara was in the air. He had created another bird, this one larger, carrying him upward through the cave's massive open ceiling toward the sky above. He was retreating to his element. Aerial combat. The place where he was untouchable. Naruto followed. He jumped. Straight up. The cave ceiling was 50 meters above the floor, and he cleared it in a single bound, erupting into the sky above like a missile launched from the earth. The sunlight hit him. Wind roared around his frame. And ahead of him, Deidara on his bird, already throwing bombs, C1. Small explosives. Dozens of them, raining downward like hail. Clap! 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 3 swaps in 1 second. The bombs switched positions with rocks on the ground below. The explosions detonated harmlessly against dirt and stone, 60 meters beneath where they were supposed to land. Deidara's eye went wide. "What is that? A spatial technique you keep?" "Your art bores me," Deidara snarled. He reached into his clay pouch with both hands. "Bore you? Let me show you C2, yeah. Let me show you what art really..." A massive clay dragon formed beneath him. It opened its mouth and launched guided missiles, clay projectiles that tracked Naruto's chakra signature. Homing in from every angle, Naruto was falling. He twisted in the air. 6 missiles converging on his position. Clap! Boogie woogie! Every missile swapped with every other missile, their trajectories inverted. They hit each other mid-flight. 6 simultaneous detonations lit the sky in a ring of fire around Naruto's falling body. He fell through the blast zone untouched. "C3, Deidara screamed. He was panicking now. His greatest strength, his elevated position, his art that had killed a Kazekage, all of it was being made worthless by a boy who could clap his hands. He formed C3, the massive bomb, the city leveler, a sculpture the size of a building that he dropped from maximum altitude. Naruto looked up at it descending. The shadow of C3 covered the entire area below. Its detonation would annihilate everything within a kilometer. He entered Sage Mode midair. The transformation was instant. Orange pigmentation flaring around his eyes, natural energy flooding his body, his senses expanding in every direction. He punched upward. 1 punch. 1 fist, enhanced by Sage Mode's weight of the earth's strength. His knuckles hit the falling C3 with enough force to reverse its momentum entirely. The massive bomb rocketed back upward, back toward Deidara, who watched his own masterpiece coming back at him like a returned letter. What? Clap! Boogie woogie! Deidara and his clay bird swapped positions with a rock on the ground below. The bomber was suddenly earthbound. His bird, still in the sky, was directly beneath the returning C3. The explosion was magnificent. A column of fire that reached hundreds of meters into the air, visible from 3 countries away, burning with the full fury of Deidara's art deployed against his own creation. Deidara, standing on the ground, stared upward at the fire consuming the sky. His mouth was open. His birds were gone. His altitude advantage was gone. He was on the ground alone with a 17-year-old monster walking toward him. C4, Deidara whispered. He was breaking open his own chest, a mouth there, the mouth of his final resort. Microscopic bombs, invisible explosives at the cellular level, undodgeable, unfightable, undetectable. Karura! Deidara screamed. The microscopic bombs released, a cloud of invisible destruction expanding in every direction. Naruto kept walking. Kurama's chakra erupted from his skin, a shell of golden energy that burned at a frequency specifically designed to destroy objects smaller than the human eye could detect. Every microscopic bomb within 10 meters of Naruto's body detonated prematurely, neutralized by the demon fox's chakra before they could enter his lungs. He walked through C4 like it was morning mist. Deidara's face went white. Impossible! Impossible! My art is eternal! My art is... Your art exploded in your own face 4 times in the last 3 minutes. Naruto was in front of him now. His massive frame blocked the sun from reaching Deidara entirely. That makes it comedy, not art. Zero! Deidara screamed. His final move, the suicide technique. He was reaching for his own chest, preparing to detonate his entire body, a blast radius of 10 kilometers, a suicidal explosion that would take everything with him. Naruto's hand closed around Deidara's wrist. His fingers engulfed it entirely. Deidara's hand was 12 inches from his own chest. It would go further. You want to blow yourself up? Naruto's sage mode eyes, ancient, patient, burning with natural energy, stared down at the bomber. That's your answer? When your art fails, you become the art? Let go, I'll take everything with. Clap, boogie woogie. Deidara was suddenly 500 meters in the air, above the cloud line, above everything. His detonation technique, Suru, had a radius of 10 kilometers. But 10 kilometers of empty sky contained nothing except sky. He detonated. The fireball bloomed above the clouds like a second sun. White and gold and orange, expanding outward in a sphere of absolute destruction that consumed nothing but atmosphere. It was, Naruto thought, genuinely beautiful to watch. The one piece of art Deidara made that accomplished exactly what it was supposed to, being seen from everywhere, and killing exactly nobody. Your art, Naruto said to the fading explosion, bores me. He turned, walked back toward the cave. Below, Chiyo had finished dismantling Sasori, the puppet master's true body pierced by his own parent puppets, a death he had chosen in the end, a final act of something that might have been emotion. Naruto knelt beside Gaara's body. He put his hand on the dead Kazekage's chest. He felt nothing. No pulse, no chakra, just the stillness of someone who had given everything for people who once hated him. Chiyo approached. She knelt on the other side. I can bring him back, she said. Her voice was steady but old. One life transfer jutsu. My life for his. Take my chakra, Naruto said immediately. As much as you need. I have more than enough. He placed his hand over hers. Golden chakra flowed, warm, massive, endless. Kurama's power supplementing the jutsu, filling the gaps, providing the life force that one old woman alone could never contain. Chiyo smiled. It was the smile of someone who had found something worth dying for at the end of a very long life. The jutsu activated, light filled the cave. Naruto's chakra poured into Gaara's body alongside Chiyo's life force. A combination that was never supposed to work, that broke every rule of medical ninjutsu, that existed because a 17-year-old with too much power and too much heart decided it would. Chiyo's body grew still. Gaara's eyes opened. They focused on the cave ceiling first, then on Naruto's face directly above him, massive and scarred and unreadable. You came, Gaara said. His voice was sand and dust and something very alive. Yar yar, Naruto stood. He offered his hand downward, the same hand he'd offered in the arena years ago. You're interesting. I told you before, I don't let interesting people die. Gaara looked at the hand. This time, after years of growth, years of being Kazekage, years of learning what it meant to protect people who protected him back, he took it. Naruto pulled him to his feet. They stood face to face. Gaara's expression was still Gaara's expression, vast, unreadable, carrying deserts behind his eyes. But something in it had shifted, a crack in the eternal composure. "Naruto," Gaara said, "what kind of woman is your type?" Every person in the cave stopped breathing. Naruto turned slowly. His entire body pivoted toward Gaara with the gravity of a planet-changing orbit. His eyes were enormous. His mouth was slightly open. "Gaara," his voice trembled. You always ask people that. I thought, since you came to save me, it was appropriate to." "Gaara." Naruto's eyes were filling. His massive frame was vibrating with emotion that threatened to break the laws of physics. "My brother." "I'm not sure. Do you remember?" Naruto grabbed Gaara's shoulders with both hands. Gaara's eyes went wide. "The day at the festival, when we were 8 years old, you and I sitting on the rooftop, you said, 'Naruto, the world is full of sand, but you are the one thing that won't blow away.' I never said that. I have never been to a festival in Konoha. I grew up in Sunagakure. We met when I was 12 and tried to kill everyone." The feelings were real, Gaara. Inside the seal, Kurama was lying flat on his back. He's doing it again. He's making fake memories with the Kazekage now. This is international. This has diplomatic implications. Gaara stood there while Naruto held his shoulders and cried about a barbecue they apparently shared at age 9 during a sandstorm. An event that was geographically, temporally, and logically impossible on every level. And something in Gaara's permanently composed expression cracked. Just a millimeter, his lip twitched. It was the closest Gaara had ever come to laughter in his life. Temari found them outside the cave 30 minutes later. Naruto carrying Chiyo's body with the reverence it deserved. Lee walking beside him. Gaara alive and standing on his own 2 feet with sand swirling at his ankles like it was happy to see him. Temari's eyes went to Gaara first, then to Naruto, then to Gaara again. She hit Gaara across the back of his head with her fans closed in. Lightly, by her standards. "Don't ever do that again," she said. Her voice cracked on the last word. Gaara blinked. He touched the back of his head. Something in his expression softened. A thing so rare that Kankuro, watching from behind, committed it to memory. Temari's eyes moved to Naruto. They stayed there for exactly 1 second too long. "Thank you," she said. The sharpness was gone from her voice, just for that moment. "Yar yar." Naruto shifted Chiyo's body to a more respectful position in his arms. "Don't thank me. Thank my 530,000 IQ and its unwillingness to let interesting people disappear." She rolled her eyes. The sharpness returned. "You're still insufferable, and yet here you are." She turned away before he could see whatever her face was doing. Naruto watched her go with an expression that, for once, carried something he could name. Something specific. Kurama noticed. "Kit, your heart rate just..." "Shut up, Fox." It increased by... I said shut up, interesting. They returned Chiyo to Sunagakure with full honors. The village mourned her. Gaara stood before his people, alive, whole, the leader they had chosen to love after years of learning to love. The sand village rebuilt. Again, Naruto left with his team the following morning. He did not say goodbye to Temari. She did not come to the gate. But Kankuro, nursing his healing wounds from the hospital window, watched the Konoha ninja leave and said to himself, "Those two are going to be insufferable together someday." He was correct. The months that followed were a storm of red clouds and violence. Akatsuki operated in pairs. They hunted Jinchuriki. They moved through the world like predators, each pair independently capable of leveling small nations. The intelligence network that Jiraiya had built confirmed their movements. They were escalating. The extractions were becoming faster. The attacks were becoming bolder. Hidan and Kakuzu arrived in the Land of Fire 6 months after the Kazekage rescue. They were hunting a bounty, a former Fire Temple monk with a price on his head, but their real mission was always the same. Find the Jinchuriki. Take the tailed beast. Leave the host dead. They killed Asuma Sarutobi, Team 10's leader. Shikamaru's mentor, a man who had trained warriors and led squads and smoked cigarettes on rooftops while watching the clouds, because that was the kind of life worth living to him. Hidan's ritual, the circle drawn in blood. The scythe through his own chest, and the damage transferred to his target. Asuma died with his students watching. With Shikamaru, the genius, the strategist, the boy who could outthink anyone, watching and unable to prevent it. Naruto heard the news at the memorial. He stood behind Team 10, massive and silent, while they grieved. He did not speak. He did not offer comfort. Some moments required presence rather than words, and his 530,000 IQ understood that. Shikamaru found him afterward. The genius was smoking, his first cigarette taken from Asuma's pack, the gesture meaning everything. "I'm going after them," Shikamaru said. His voice was flat in a way that meant he had already decided and nothing in the world would change his mind. Naruto looked at him. "When?" "Tomorrow. I'll come." Shikamaru exhaled smoke. "This is my fight. It's your plan, your execution, your revenge." Naruto cracked his neck. "I'm just there to make sure the immortal one stays down." Shikamaru studied him for a long time. Then he nodded once. "Fine, but you follow my lead. Your lead, my fists. Deal." They found them 3 days later. Hidan and Kakuzu moving through the forest like twin plagues. Shikamaru's plan was elegant. Separation. He used shadow techniques and misdirection to split the immortal pair, isolating Hidan in a prepared killing ground of explosive tags and shadow bindings. Naruto took Kakuzu. Kakuzu was a creature of threads and stolen hearts, 5 lives beating inside his chest. Fire, wind, lightning, water, earth. Each one a mask that could separate from his body and attack independently. He had lived for over a century by taking organs from the strong. He looked at Naruto. 5 hearts, 5 elements. "You cannot kill me in one strike, boy." Naruto smiled. It was the smile of a man who had just been told something incredibly interesting. 5 hearts, that is a good challenge. "I have killed Jinchuriki before. Your kind bleeds like every—" Before we continue, one finger raised. "What kind of woman is your type?" Kakuzu stopped. His thread-wrapped body was absolutely still. His strange stitched eyes blinked. "What?" "Answer me. Your soul depends on it. I like a woman who earns her own money." Naruto considered this. He nodded slowly. Acceptable, practical, a man of financial sensibilities. He raised his fists. "I'll make this quick out of respect." Kakuzu's mask separated, 5 elemental entities flying outward, each one preparing a different jutsu, a combined assault from every angle. Naruto punched the fire mask out of the air. One hit. The mask cratered against his fist, and the threads connecting it to Kakuzu's body went slack. Heart one, destroyed. Clap! Boogie woogie. The wind mask was suddenly face to face with the lightning mask. Their jutsu, wind blade and lightning bolt, hit each other at point blank. Both masks fell. Hearts 2 and 3, gone. Kakuzu staggered. His threads lashed out, hundreds of them, black and writhing, trying to pierce Naruto's skin. Naruto's body was covered in a thin layer of Sage Mode enhancement. The threads hit his skin and broke. Like needles against iron, they snapped against his forearms, his chest, his neck. Every single one. Kakuzu took a step back. "What are you?" "Black chakra flash." Naruto's right fist was already condensing. The black and red energy pulled inward, lightning crackling at his knuckles, the air distorting, reality bending toward the point of contact that was about to exist. He punched Kakuzu in the chest. The impact was a localized apocalypse. The shockwave expanded outward in a perfect sphere. Trees within 20 meters were stripped to bare trunks. The ground cratered beneath them both. Kakuzu's body, all remaining hearts, all remaining threads, every piece of stolen longevity he had accumulated over a century, detonated from the inside. Threads scattered, masks fell. The earth element heart and the water element heart exploded simultaneously from the force being conducted through Kakuzu's entire network. 5 hearts. One punch. Kakuzu's body hit the ground in pieces that were no longer connected to anything. They twitched once, twice, then stopped. "That's all 5? Naruto asked. Kurama counted from inside the seal. "That's all 5. Good. One hit. My 530,000 IQ calculated the exact force required." "You hit him as hard as you possibly could." "Exactly. Full force is the calculation." Kurama had nothing to say to that, because he was right. Meanwhile, Shikamaru had handled Hidan. The immortal zealot was trapped. Shadow possession, explosive tags, the ground beneath him crumbling into a prepared pit. Shikamaru's plan was perfect. Bury him under 40 meters of earth, and leave him there screaming forever. But Naruto arrived at the edge of the pit before Shikamaru sealed it. He looked down at Hidan, pinned, bound, ranting about Jashin and immortality and how he would escape and kill them all. "You pray to a death god," Naruto said, looking down into the pit. "What kind of woman does your death god prefer?" Hidan squinted upward. "What? Who are you? Untie me and I'll show you Jashin's." Wrong answer. Naruto turned to Shikamaru. "Bury him." Already planned on it. Shikamaru triggered the collapse. Earth fell. 40 meters of soil compressed downward on top of Hidan's immortal body. His screaming got quieter and quieter and then disappeared entirely beneath the weight of the world. He would stay there, screaming at dirt for eternity. Naruto felt this was appropriate. "Your plan was good," Naruto told Shikamaru. "Yours was simpler." Shikamaru lit another cigarette. "You just punched a man with 5 hearts hard enough to break all of them simultaneously." Efficiency. That's one word for it. They walked back to Konoha. Behind them, the earth was still settling over Hidan's grave. 3 Akatsuki members eliminated. 7 remained. Then the world broke. Jiraiya went to a Megakure alone. He told Tsunade he had intelligence on Pain's location. He told Naruto nothing, just a hand on his shoulder brought a grin that crinkled the lines around his eyes and the words, "I'll be back before you miss me, kid." He was wrong. Fukasaku arrived in Konoha on a rainy morning. The great Toad Sage. His expression carried the weight of something irreversible. He found Tsunade first. Then Naruto. Naruto was training when the old Toad appeared at the edge of his field. He was mid-Rasengan, a perfect sphere spinning in his palm. When he felt the energy shift, he turned, saw Fukasaku's face. The Rasengan dissolved in his hand. He knew. Before a word was spoken, he knew. "The old man," Naruto said. His voice was gravel. Fukasaku nodded. Jiraiya boy fell in battle against Pain. He fought magnificently. He took down 3 of the 6 paths before. "Stop." Fukasaku stopped. Naruto stood there. His massive frame was completely still. His hands were at his sides. His eyes were fixed on something beyond the training field, beyond the village, beyond everything that was in front of him. Lee appeared. He had felt it. The change in his brother's chakra. The way the air pressure dropped. He came running across the field and stopped 3 meters away. He saw Naruto's face and his own expression crumbled. "Brother?" Naruto did not respond immediately. 30 seconds passed. A minute. Then he spoke. And his voice was something different from what anyone had heard before. Not commanding, not amused, not lazy. Just a man's voice carrying a weight that made the ground seem to sag beneath him. "He bought me dinner. The first night we met, he was a pervert and a drunk and a storyteller, and he bought me dinner because I demanded it." Naruto looked at his own hand, opened and closed it. He told me about the world, about the students he had lost, about the book he wanted to write that meant something instead of just being smut, about the woman he loved who would never love him back. Lee put a hand on his shoulder. He was a man of exceptional taste. Naruto closed his fist. The knuckles turned white. He deserved better than to die alone in the rain. "Brother, what do we do?" Naruto looked at Lee. The blue of his eyes carried something that Lee had never seen in them before. Grief, yes, but underneath it, a fury so deep it had its own gravity. Pain will understand why that matters. He trained. For weeks. Sage mode refinement with Fukasaku on Mount Myobaku. The old Toad taught him everything. The balance of natural energy, the time limitation, the trick of using clones to gather energy while the main body fought. Naruto absorbed it all. His 530,000 IQ devoured the concepts in his body, already prepared by years with Jiraiya, accepted the power like it had been waiting for exactly this. He was ready when pain came. The assault on Konoha began at dawn. 6 bodies descended from the sky, each one pierced with black rods, each one carrying a different face, each one sharing the same purple ringed eyes. The Rinnegan, the eyes of a god, distributed across 6 corpses animated by one will. The Deva path, the Asura path, the animal path, the Preta path, the human path, the Naraka path. They destroyed everything. Shinra Tensei, the almighty push, flattened buildings in waves. The animal path summoned creatures the size of apartment complexes. The Asura path fired artillery from its own modified body. Konoha was being taken apart block by block. Tsunade held the village together through sheer force of Kage-level coordination. Katsuyu distributed her healing across every citizen. Anbu engaged. Jonin engaged. Everyone engaged. They were losing. Naruto arrived mid-assault, reverse summoned from Mount Myoboku directly into the center of the destroyed village. He landed on a toad the size of a building, Gamabunta, and the impact of his arrival created a shockwave that pushed back the nearest pain body 15 meters. The village saw him. His body was wreathed in sage mode. The orange around his eyes, the toad-like pupils, the natural energy making the air around him physically heavy. He was wearing Jiraiya's old scroll across his back. His expression was carved from stone, 6 paths of pain, all 6 present, all 6 with shared vision, all 6 focused on him immediately. Which one of you speaks? Naruto's voice carried across the ruined village. I want to ask a question. The Deva path stepped forward. Pain's voice came from it, resonant, heavy with the conviction of a man who believed himself divine. You are the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Nagato-sama requires your... Before we continue, one finger raised. What kind of woman is your type? 6 bodies stared at him with 12 Rinnegan eyes. The question hung in the air like a dropped weapon. The Deva path tilted its head. Your question is irrelevant. Pain knows only. Wrong. All of you. He was already moving. Clap. Boogie woogie. The human path, which had been flanking left, was suddenly directly in front of the Asura path. The Asura path, mid-artillery fire, shot the human path point blank with its own arm cannon. The human path went down in a shower of mechanical debris and broken flesh, 1 down. The animal path summoned a rhino, massive, charging, fast, aimed directly at Naruto. Clap. The rhino and the animal path switched. The animal path was now charging directly toward Naruto, and directly into his waiting fist. A Sage Mode enhanced punch connected with the animal path's face with enough force to launch it backward through 3 ruined buildings. It did not get up. Its summoned creatures vanished. 2 down. The Preta path rushed him. Its ability was absorption. It ate chakra. Every jutsu aimed at it would be consumed, converted, nullified. It was reaching for Naruto, hands glowing with the ready-to-absorb hunger of a bottomless pit. Clap. The Preta path swapped positions with the Naraka path. The Naraka path, which had been hiding in the back, healing the other paths, was suddenly face-to-face with Naruto at 0 distance. The Hell King summoner looked up at the massive shinobi in front of it. Rasengan! The spiraling sphere hit the Naraka path in the chest and punched through. The body was thrown backward with a hole in its center. The King of Hell vanished. The healing function died. 3 down in 30 seconds. The Deva path activated Shinra Tensei at full power. The gravity wave exploded outward. Buildings that were still standing flattened. Rubble flew in every direction. The force should have crushed anything in its radius. Clap! Boogie woogie! Naruto swapped himself with a piece of rubble behind the Deva path. The Shinra Tensei blasted away from him in the opposite direction. He was untouched, standing behind Pain's primary body with his fist already cocked. The Deva path spun, but there was a cooldown. A 5-second gap after Shinra Tensei where it could do nothing except be human. Wind release. Rasen Shuriken! The screaming chakra shuriken formed in his hand and was launched from point-blank range. It hit the Deva path's back. The cellular destruction expanded outward. Millions of microscopic wind blades cutting at everything on a level that the Rinnegan's regeneration could handle, but the body itself could not withstand. The Deva path fell. The Preta path rushed from behind. The last one standing, the Absorber, reaching for Naruto with both hands to drain his Sage Chakra. Naruto let it touch him. The Preta path grabbed his shoulder. Its ability activated. It began absorbing natural energy from Naruto's body, eagerly, hungrily, like drinking from a river. Naruto smiled. You want to absorb Sage Chakra? Take as much as you'd like. The Preta path absorbed, and the natural energy flooded into it unfiltered, unbalanced, overwhelming its dead body with a power it had never been designed to contain. The Preta path turned to stone, because that was what happened when you absorb natural energy without the training to balance it. The body petrified. The Preta path became a statue, frozen mid-reach, its Rinnegan eyes locked in surprise, its hands still touching Naruto's shoulder. Naruto brushed the stone hands off his coat. 6 bodies. He looked at the 6 down paths scattered across the ruins of his village. 0 challenge. I used 2 original techniques. My 530,000 IQ weeps. The real pain waited for him beyond the village. Nagato, the true body, hidden in a paper tree, a machine of chakra rods keeping his broken body alive. Conan guarded him. Paper wings and a sea of explosive tags, Naruto went alone. He found Nagato. The man was emaciated, wasted. His legs were dead. His body was more machine than flesh, but his eyes, those impossibly purple ringed eyes, carried the weight of someone who genuinely believed in his own divinity. "You defeated my 6 paths," Nagato said. His voice was weaker than what had come from the Deva path. Real, human. "They bored me." Naruto sat down, cross-legged, in front of the man who had just destroyed his village and killed his teacher. He sat like they were about to share tea. "But I'm here because I want to understand something." Nagato studied him. "What do you want to understand?" "Jiraiya trained you, trained me too. He believed in you before he believed in me. He thought you would change the world." Naruto's expression was unreadable. "So what happened?" They talked. Nagato spoke about pain, about loss, about the cycle of hatred, about a world that he believed could only be unified through fear. He asked Naruto the same question Jiraiya had asked him decades ago. "How do you intend to create peace?" Naruto looked at him for a long time. Then, "I don't know yet. I'm 17. I have a 530,000 IQ and a demon fox sealed in my gut and a brother named Lee who can kick through buildings. I'll figure it out." He leaned forward. "But I know one thing. The old man believed in me the same way he believed in you. And I'm going to make him right about at least one of us." Nagato stared at him. The Rinnegan, eyes that had seen everything, controlled everything, destroyed everything, focused on Naruto with an intensity that trembled. "You remind me of him," Nagato whispered. "I should. He taught me everything. He taught me too. And I failed him. Yeah." Naruto did not sugarcoat it. "You did." The silence stretched. "Rinne Tensei." Naruto's voice was barely audible. "The resurrection technique, every person killed in this assault, I can bring them back. It'll kill you." "I know." Naruto stood. He looked down at this broken man, this brilliant, ruined, lost student of the same teacher. His expression carried something that was too complicated for a single word to contain. "Before you go," Naruto said, "what kind of woman was your type?" Nagato laughed. It was the sound of a dying man who had just heard something unexpectedly human. "There was one, with blue hair and paper wings. She never left my side, even when I became this." He looked toward where Conan was standing. "Is that a good answer?" Naruto nodded slowly. "The best one I've heard all day." Nagato performed Rinne Tensei. His life force poured out. Every civilian, every shinobi, every person. Pain had killed in the assault breathed again, gasping back to life across the village like flowers opening after winter. Nagato died with something on his face that might have been peace. The first peace he'd known in 20 years. Conan took his body. She left. Naruto stood in the rain. The village was alive again around him. Confused, wounded, but alive. People emerging from rubble, calling for each other, finding each other. Lee found him, standing in the rain like a monument. Lee said nothing. He just stood beside him, shoulder to shoulder. Two brothers in the aftermath of something terrible and something merciful happening simultaneously. "Do you regret what you said to him?" Lee asked eventually. "Naruto." Naruto watched the rain fall. "He answered the question, brother. Eventually. He just needed to be asked by someone who meant it." The village rebuilt again, as it always did. Naruto was hailed as a hero this time. The village that had feared him, a whole lifetime of glares and whispers and closed doors, saw him stand against a god and win. Saw him save every person pain killed. Saw him bring back the dead through sheer force of will and emotional conviction. They loved him now. All of them. It was loud and sudden, and everywhere he went. Naruto ate ramen and accepted it with the grace of a man who had never needed their love in the first place, but found it pleasant enough. The 5 Kage summit was called in the months following Pain's assault. The threat of Madara Uchiha, now confirmed as the mastermind behind Akatsuki, demanded a unified response. Every village, every Kage, one table. Tsunade sent Naruto as her escort, specifically, deliberately, with a note attached to the assignment that read, "Show them what we have." The summit was held in the Land of Iron, neutral territory, snow-covered, ancient architecture rising from the frost, like something from a forgotten age. Each Kage arrived with 2 guards. The room was power incarnate. 5 of the strongest people alive, gathered at a table shaped like a semicircle. with their bodyguards behind them like loaded weapons. The Raikage, A, sat with his arms crossed, veins visible on his biceps even at rest. Killer Bee was behind him, sunglasses on, humming something rhythmic. The Tsuchikage, Onoki, ancient, hovering slightly above his seat, his particle style capable of turning anything to dust. The Mitarumi, red-haired, lava-style wielder, her smile carrying the promise of melted cities. The Kazekage, Gaara, sand swirling at his feet. Expression, Gaara, and Tsunade's seat, empty except for Shikaku Nara as her messenger, with Naruto standing behind the chair like a mountain that someone had dressed in a coat. Every Kage looked at him. He was the largest person in the room by a comfortable margin and one of the youngest. His presence filled the space the way floodwater fills a valley. Who, said the Raikage, his voice a bass cannon, is that? Naruto Uzumaki, Shikaku said. Konoha's Jinchuriki, the one who defeated pain. The Raikage's eyes narrowed. He assessed. His brother Killer Bee leaned forward behind him, sunglasses sliding down his nose. Naruto's eyes found Bee. He stared for a moment, then pointed. You, Octopus Man. His voice carried across the summit chamber like rolling thunder. What kind of woman is your type? The Kage summit went absolutely still. Every bodyguard in the room shifted. Diplomatic protocols existed for reasons. This violated all of them. Killer Bee didn't miss a beat. He straightened. He adjusted his sunglasses. He started rapping. Yo, you want the truth from the eight-tailed beast. A woman with curves is a visual feast, tall and strong with a confident stride. The kind of queen who ain't gotta hide. She got power in her walk and fire in her eyes. A woman like that is the ultimate prize. Way! 45 seconds, gestures included. Possibly the longest uninterrupted statement in Kage Summit history. Naruto listened to every word without blinking. When Bee finished, Naruto crossed the room. He extended his fist. His face was reverent. His eyes were shining. My brother. Bee bumped it immediately. The fist bump echoed with something beyond physical contact, a resonance between two Jinchuriki who had found in each other the exact energy they'd been missing. Yo, this kid's got spirit! Yeah! He passed my merit! Bee grinned with all his teeth. The Raikage stood. His chair scraped. Bee, sit down. But bro, sit. His soul speaks to me, bro. I said. The summit continued. Eventually, with reduced dignity, the real disruption came an hour later. Sasuke Uchiha, who had been pursuing his revenge against the village elders responsible for the Uchiha massacre, appeared. He cut through the summit's outer guards with his team and burst into the main chamber. Sharingan blazing, his blade drawn, every Kaji stood. Weapons materialized. The room's temperature dropped from 5 different killing intents converging simultaneously. Naruto sighed from his position behind Tsunade's chair. Sasuke, sit down. Sasuke's head turned. The red of his Sharingan found Naruto across the chamber. Stay out of this, Naruto. These elders ordered my clans. Your fashion choices still give you away. Naruto was already walking forward. His stride was unhurried, but every step carried weight. The cloak, the sword, the attitude, zero style and terrible taste in women. We've been through this. I said stay, clap, boogie woogie. Sasuke was sitting in a chair that had been empty on the far side of the chamber. His team, Suigetsu, Karen Jugo, was on the opposite end of the room from him. His sword was in a different chair entirely. He blinked. Sit. Down. Naruto's voice did not rise. It did not need to. You can handle your revenge later. Right now, the adults need to talk. Sasuke's Sharingan spun. His pride was on fire. His hands gripped the chair's armrest with enough force to crack wood. But his body remembered what Naruto's fist felt like. The valley of the end. The curse mark breaking, the world going white and then every color at once. He sat. The Raikage stared at Naruto for a very long time. Then he looked at Gaara, who was watching this scene with the ghost of something that might have been amusement. Is he always like this? The Raikage asked. Yes, Gaara said, every single time. The summit continued. The masked man calling himself Madara, who later revealed himself as Obito, but the world didn't know that yet, appeared via projection. His declaration was simple: hand over the remaining tailed beasts, or he would cast the infinite Tsukuyomi and trap the entire world in a dream war. The word hung in the chamber. Every absorbed it. Naruto absorbed it differently. He raised his hand. Every eye turned to him. Before everyone panics. He was cracking his knuckles. Each one sounded like a small explosion. Has anyone just tried hitting him yet? The Fourth Shinobi World War began 3 months later. The Allied Shinobi forces, every village, every nation, united for the first time in history against a single threat deployed across the continent. Divisions numbering in the tens of thousands. Commanders coordinating from logistics bases. Sensors sweeping the horizon, and Kabuto Yakushi deployed his Edo Tensei. The dead rose. Legends returned, their bodies made of earth and ash, their minds trapped inside, forced to fight against their will with all the power they possessed in life. The battlefield became a graveyard turned inside out. Naruto's shadow clones moved across every front simultaneously, each one carrying his full power, each one fighting with the same intelligence, the same instincts, the same absolute dominance. On the Eastern Front, a clone engaged the reanimated 7 swordsmen of the mist, 7 legendary blades, 7 legendary warriors. The clone took them all in 4 minutes, using Boogie Woogie to swap their swords between them mid-swing, watching them cut each other with their own weapons, while he stood with his arms crossed. On the Southern Front, a clone faced the reanimated 3rd Raikage, a man whose body was so durable that he had once fought an entire army alone. The clone punched him. The 3rd Raikage's legendary defense held for 1 hit, then 2. On the 3rd Black Chakra Flash, the 3rd Raikage's body was driven into the earth so deeply, the sealing team needed 10 minutes to dig him out for sealing. And on the Central Front, the real Naruto moved. He found the reanimated Kages first, the 2nd Tsuchikage, the 2nd Mizukage, the 4th Kazekage. Each one powerful, each one trapped in a body they couldn't control. The 4th Kazekage, Gaara's father, the man who had ordered assassination attempts on his own son, attacked with gold dust, waves of it, glittering and heavy, crashing forward. Naruto walked through it, Sage Mode burning, natural energy making his body dense enough that gold dust parted around him like water around a ship's prow. Before we continue, he stood in front of the reanimated Kazekage. What kind of woman is your type? The 4th Kazekage, dead, reanimated, fighting against his own will, stared at him. His mouth moved despite himself. A woman of the desert, strong, capable of raising warriors. Naruto nodded. Acceptable. Your son grew up well, by the way, in spite of you. He raised his fist. I'll be quick. Clap. The gold dust swapped with the empty air behind the Kazekage, 1 Rasengan to the chest. Sealing team rushed in. Done. The 2nd Mizukage was next, a genjutsu specialist with a giant clam summon that created mirages. Naruto's Sage Mode senses saw through every illusion instantly. Natural energy revealed reality regardless of what eyes reported. Your type? The Mizukage, a man who even in death was somehow flirtatious, grinned helplessly. I liked redheads, fiery ones. Respectable. Hold still. Wind release, Rasen Shuriken. The Mizukage's body was annihilated and reformed and annihilated again until the sealing team could catch up. He moved through the battlefield like a weather system that had decided to take sides. Reanimated legends fell. Sealing teams followed in his wake, catching what he crushed. Then, the Hokages. He felt them before he saw them. 4 chakra signatures so enormous they distorted the air itself. He stopped on a ridgeline and looked down. Tobirama Senju, Hashirama Senju, Hiruzen Sarutobi, and Minato Namikaze. They stood in a line. 4 Hokages, freed from Kabuto's direct control by the Edo Tensei being partially released, their personalities restored. They were heading for the main battlefield to assist. Naruto dropped from the ridge. He landed in front of them. The ground cratered beneath his feet. Tobirama reacted first, his hand snapping up, a paper bomb forming between his fingers. His eyes were red, analytical, tracking the massive figure that had just appeared. Identify yourself, Tobirama said. His voice was sharp as a blade. Naruto straightened to his full height. He looked at Tobirama. Before anything else, his voice was steady. His expression did not waver. What kind of woman is your type? Tobirama's hand lowered incrementally. His expression shifted from combat-ready to confused in a way that looked deeply uncomfortable on a man who had invented most of the jutsu in existence. I beg your pardon? Your type. In women. Answer me. Your soul depends on it. Tobirama stared. Behind him, Hashirama leaned to the side to get a better look at this enormous blonde person who was interrogating the 2nd Hokage about romance. Tobirama's jaw worked. I preferred efficient women, women who did not require elaborate courtship, women who said what they meant and meant what they said. Naruto nodded once, curtly. Efficient answer. Acceptable. Like the woman herself, it wastes nothing. He raised his fist. I respect you, second Hokage. Let's move. Tobirama bumped the fist because he was too bewildered to refuse. His expression said he had never been this confused in life or death. Hashirama pushed past his brother. The first Hokage, god of shinobi, founder of Konoha, the man whose wood release shaped the very earth the village stood on, looked at Naruto with enormous, curious, already emotional eyes. Your turn, first Hokage. Naruto pointed at him. The question stands. Hashirama's face lit, like a bonfire catching gasoline. Oh, you want to know about Mito? Mito, my wife, the most incredible woman to ever. He was already choking up. She had red hair, and her chakra chains could seal a tailed beast. And she yelled at me when I gambled too much, but she did it because she loved me. And she made me want to be better every single day. And when she looked at me with those eyes, I felt like I could grow a forest just by... He was crying. Full streaming tears down his reanimated face. Naruto was also crying. I see. Naruto wiped his face with his forearm. His voice was thick. A strong woman, a woman who makes you want to be better. He extended his hand. I respect you, first Hokage, truly. And I want you to know, I remember when we sat together at the academy entrance ceremony. You told me that love makes a man grow. I have never forgotten that. Hashirama stared at him through his tears. I was reanimated 50 years after my death. You are 17. That never. Do you remember the festival? I was dead during any festival you could have. The Yakitori, first Hokage. Do you remember the Yakitori? Hashirama looked at him for a long time. His enormous emotional capacity, the same capacity that had loved an entire village into existence, processed what was being asked of him. And because Hashirama was Hashirama, and because his heart was a continent, I think I do remember. My brother. My brother. They embraced. Completely. Two massive men, one living, one dead, both crying, wrapped around each other in a hug that made the earth tremble. The emotional force of it pushed Tobirama back a physical step. Behind them, the third Hokage, Hiruzen, who had known Naruto since birth, watched this happen with the expression of a man who had seen it before and still couldn't believe it. He does this to everyone, Hiruzen said to Tobirama. Is he always like this? Every single time. Naruto released Hashirama. He turned. Minato Namikaze stood at the end of the line. Yellow hair. Blue eyes that matched Naruto's exactly. The Konoha Jonin uniform he had died in. The fourth Hokage. The man who had sealed Kurama into his own son, Naruto's father. They looked at each other. The silence was different from the others. Heavier. More real. Before anything else, Naruto's voice was steady. His expression did not waver, but something underneath, something in the quality of his breath, was different. What kind of woman is your type? Minato blinked, and then, slowly, gently, with the expression of a man who understood exactly what was being asked and exactly who was asking it, he smiled. Kushina Uzumaki. His voice was warm in a way that made the air feel different. A woman with red hair like sunrise and a laugh that could shake buildings. The most terrifying chakra I'd ever felt in my life, wrapped around a heart so genuine it made everything else feel fake. She punched me in the face the first time we met, and I knew. From that moment, he stopped. His voice had cracked. Naruto was silent for a long time. Something behind his eyes was very full. Something that his 530,000 IQ had nothing to do with, and his reincarnated soul had no framework for. Just a boy standing in front of the father he never knew, hearing about the mother he never met, and feeling something that transcended every life he'd ever lived. Good answer. His voice was rough. He extended his hand. You have excellent taste. Minato shook it. His grip was warm. You have your mother's eyes, he said, and her chakra, and apparently her complete inability to follow social conventions. Naruto laughed. It was a real laugh, one that released something that had been held for 17 years without a name. They fought together. Father and son moved across the battlefield in a duet that the Allied forces would speak about for generations. Minato's flying thunder god, instantaneous teleportation to mark kunai, combined with Naruto's boogie woogie to create a spatial nightmare that turned the entire front line into a trap. Reanimated warriors attacked from the left and found themselves facing empty air. Attacks launched at the Allied forces were redirected into each other. The battlefield became a puzzle that only two people could solve, and both of them were on the same side. Clap. Naruto swapped a battalion of reanimated samurai with the empty crater behind them. Minato appeared among them instantly, sealing tags flying from his hands, marking them for the sealing team. An incoming fireball from a reanimated Uchiha swapped with the rain falling from the sky. Water met the Uchiha's face. Minato was already there, Rasengan in hand. They worked in silence for a stretch. The kind of silence that needed nothing added to it. Two blonde men, two spatial masters, two people who had missed each other for 17 years without ever being able to say so. "You're incredible," Minato said between engagements. "This technique of yours, the clapping, it's 530,000 IQ. Naruto was already preparing the next swap. "What did you expect?" Minato laughed. It was Naruto's laugh. The same one, identical in tone and weight. "I expected exactly this," Minato said, and his smile said everything that "I'm proud of you" would have said if either of them were the kind of person who needed to hear it spoken. They held the line together for 12 minutes. 12 minutes of perfect coordination between a father and son who had never trained together, never spoken together, never known each other, and yet moved like they had done this 1,000 times. Then the front changed, and Naruto felt it. Something was coming. Something that made the reanimated army seem like a prelude. Something that made every sensor on the battlefield scream simultaneously. Madara Uchiha, the real one. He descended onto the central battlefield like judgment itself. A single figure falling from the sky with such force that the earth split for 100 meters in every direction when he landed. His eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was already spinning. His chakra was already flooding the area, pressing down on everyone within range like an ocean deciding to stand upright. The complete Susanoo formed behind him in the same breath. 100 meters of armored chakra, a titan with 4 arms, each one carrying a blade the size of a city block. Its shadow covered the allied forces. People who had been fighting bravely for hours looked up and their courage simply left their bodies. Naruto was already moving. He crossed the battlefield in 3 leaps. Each landing cracked the earth. He appeared between the allied forces and Madara's Susanoo. One man standing in the shadow of a 100-meter entity, arms crossed, looking up with an expression of vague interest. "So you're Madara Uchiha." His voice carried. It should not have carried that far, across that much devastation, over that much killing intent. But it did, because Naruto's voice was a force of its own. "I've heard about you." Madara looked down. Inside his Susanoo, his expression was visible, the face of a man who had lived for over a century, fought the god of shinobi, been called the strongest Uchiha in history, and had never once been addressed with that level of underwhelming response. "You are the Nine-Tails vessel. I am Naruto Uzumaki." A pause. His arms uncrossed, he planted his feet. "But first, I have a question." Madara's chakra flared. The Susanoo's arm moved, a building-sized blade beginning its descent toward Naruto. "Answer me first." Naruto did not move. The blade was coming. He did not move. A man who refuses to answer is hiding something. My 530,000 IQ has already formed theories about you, Madara. Don't confirm them. The blade stopped, 3 meters from Naruto's head. Madara, because he was Madara, because his pride was an entity unto itself, because he had never refused a challenge in 100 years of existence and death, held it. "Ask your question, insect. What kind of woman is your type?" The battlefield was already frozen, but the silence that followed was different. This was the silence of 10,000 people collectively failing to understand what they were witnessing. Madara was still for 5 seconds. Then his expression shifted. Something behind his ancient eyes, something buried under a century of war and hatred and the weight of his own legend, surfaced. When he spoke, his voice was different, lower, less commanding, more human. One woman. His voice carried across the battlefield like a confession. Before the villages, before the wars, before everything that came after. He did not say her name, but the weight of it was in every syllable. Naruto was silent for exactly 1 second. Then he started laughing. It began as a chuckle, then it grew. Then it became full, booming, genuine laughter that filled the air and echoed off the Susanoo's chakra shell and made every person watching question reality itself. "You, Madara Uchiha." He was doubled over, slapping his knee, the most dangerous person on the battlefield, and he was laughing. The man who fought the first Hokage, who redirected a tailed beast, who is trying to cast an infinite jutsu on the whole world. He straightened, wiping his eye. All of this, every war, every plan, every death, is because you are still hung up on one woman who has been dead for over a century? The Susanu's blade moved, clap, boogie woogie. The blade switched positions with the Susanu's other arm. The complete Susanu struck itself across the face with its own limb. The impact sent a shockwave that flattened a kilometer of terrain. Madara's Sharingan was spinning so fast it was a blur. You dare! You're a simp, Madara. Naruto was already building chakra. Nine-Tails chakra mode activated, the golden cloak erupting around him, Kurama's power flooding every cell, his body becoming a beacon of light on the battlefield. The Uchiha love hard, I know. But there's a difference between loving someone and spending a century dead man, grief spiraling your way into trapping the whole world in a fake dream because you can't get over it. I will crush you. It's a breakup coping mechanism, Madara. The infinite Tsukuyomi is a breakup, coping, mechanism. Madara's Susanoo reformed, both arms perfect. He swung with full force, a cross slash that should have bisected the earth itself. Clap! The left blade hit the right blade. Both arms swapped mid-swing. The collision was catastrophic. Susanoo chakra detonating against Susanoo chakra, the entity cracking from the contradiction. Naruto was already in the air. Nine-Tails chakra mode burning gold, his speed beyond what eyes could track. He appeared level with Madara inside the weakened Susanoo. Tell me something, Madara. His fist was condensing. Black and red, the signature technique. When you dream about her, because I know you do you dream about the world you want or the world she would have wanted? Madara's face contorted. Silence, because something tells me she wouldn't have wanted any of this. You know nothing of Black Chakra Flash! The fist connected with the Susanoo's chest plate. The impact registered across the entire battlefield, a detonation of black and red lightning that cracked the entity's armor from top to bottom. The complete Susanoo staggered. Its form flickered, but Madara was Madara. He reformed the Susanoo in a heartbeat. He pulled back and the skies above began to burn. Tengai Shinsei! 2 meteors, full celestial bodies pulled from orbit. They descended toward the battlefield, trailing fire and destruction. Their shadows absolute, their impact calculated to end everything. Naruto looked up. The golden cloak of Nine-Tails chakra mode blazed brighter. He formed a Rasengan in each hand, golden, enormous, Kurama's power making them 3 times normal size. He jumped into the sky toward the first meteor. The earth dropped away beneath him as he rocketed upward with enough force to leave a crater where he'd stood. Giant Rasengan. Duel. Both fists hit the first meteor simultaneously. The impact echoed across the continent. The meteor's surface fractured, cracks spreading from the impact point across the entire surface like a planet deciding to break apart. Clap. Boogie woogie. He was on the second meteor. Same attack, same force. Both celestial bodies were now cracking, their structural integrity compromised by the impossible force of a 17-year-old hitting them like they owed him money. The first meteor was still descending, cracked but falling. Wind release. Rasen Shuriken! He threw it downward from its position on the second meteor. The screaming chakra blade hit the first meteor's fracture line and bored through it like a saw through ice. The meteor split and split again. Fragments scattered across the sky, burning, breaking, becoming debris rather than an extinction event. The second meteor, still falling. Naruto was standing on it, looking down at the battlefield he was protecting. The wind up here was strong enough to strip skin. He did not feel it through the chakra cloak. Black chakra flash, his right fist condensed. All of it. Every ounce of power he could gather in this golden state. The black and red lightning erupted around his hand like a star dying in real time. The air for 20 meters in every direction superheated. He punched downward, into the meteor, through the meteor. His fist penetrated the rock, and the discharge, the black chakra flash at full power in Nine-Tails chakra mode, expanded outward from inside. The meteor did not break. The meteor ceased to exist. The explosion was visible from Konoha, from Sunagakure, from every country on the map. A sphere of black and red and gold that consumed the celestial body from the inside out, turning rock to dust to nothing in the span of a heartbeat. Debris rained across the battlefield. Fire fell from the sky like celebration. And in the middle of it, falling, golden cloak still blazing, completely untouched, Naruto descended toward Madara with his arms crossed and an expression of mild disappointment. 2 meteors. He landed. The earth cradled him. He looked at Madara, whose Sharingan was wide for the first time in memory. And you're still thinking about that woman. Impossible. Madara's voice cracked. Actually cracked. Those were 2 rocks. That's what they were. 2 rocks from the sky. Naruto uncrossed his arms, and I hit them until they stopped being a problem. The same way I'm going to hit you until you stop being a problem. Clap. The fight continued. Madara deployed everything. Wood release, massive forests erupting from the ground, trying to consume Naruto in crushing timber. Naruto clapped. The trees swapped positions with each other, creating impossible tangles that trapped themselves. Amaterasu, black flames that could never be extinguished. Naruto clapped. The flames swapped onto Madara's own Susanoo, which had to be dispelled and reformed. Limbo clones, invisible shadows from another dimension, undetectable by any normal means. Naruto entered Sage mode simultaneously with Nine-Tails Chakra mode. Natural energy revealed what the eye could never see. The shadows were visible to his senses, plain as sunlight. Clap, clap, clap! The Limbo clones swapped into each other, 3 invisible entities occupying the same space, colliding, neutralizing. You've been dead for 100 years and you learned no new moves? Naruto was breathing hard for the first time, actually working for the first time. All this power, and it's the same power from a century ago? Did you practice nothing in the afterlife? I am the strongest. You're the strongest, simp. There's a difference. Madara screamed, pure rage. He activated Rinne Tensei on himself, dying and being reborn, becoming truly alive, his Rinnegan evolving, his body no longer the limited shell of Edo Tensei, but the real body of the greatest Uchiha in history. He was alive. Truly. His power doubled, tripled. The battlefield buckled. Now, Madara said, his living Rinnegan spinning, his body whole. Now let us see what you can. Naruto hit him. One straight punch. No technique name. No build-up. Just a fist traveling at Sage mode enhanced, Nine-Tails Chakra mode accelerated speed, connecting with Madara's jaw. Madara's head snapped sideways. His feet left the ground. He skidded 30 meters, digging trenches with his heels. You talk too much for a dead man who just came back to life. Naruto was walking toward him. Each step left cracked earth. Here's what I think, Madara. I think you don't actually want to win. I think you want the world to be a dream because the real world is one where she isn't in it, and you can't handle that. Madara wiped blood from his lip, his own blood. Something he had not produced in over a century. He stared at it, then his expression changed. The rage was still there, but underneath it, something Naruto recognized. Something he had seen in Nagato's eyes before the end. A tiredness so deep it predated death itself. You are annoying, Madara said. His voice was lower, less volume, more weight. Everyone says that. Naruto raised his fist. Last hit. Ready? Madara's Susanoo reformed. Perfect. Complete. He was gathering everything. Every ounce of living Rinnegan power. Every stolen cell of Hashirama. Every element he could channel simultaneously. Black chakra flash. Full power. Naruto hit the Susanoo with both fists this time. Both hands condensing independently. 2 spheres of black and red destruction meeting the Susanoo's chest plate simultaneously from different angles. The detonation was beyond scale. The ground beneath them cracked for 100 meters in every direction. The Susanoo didn't crack this time. It evaporated. Layer by layer, from the point of impact outward, the chakra entity simply ceased to maintain structural integrity. It fell apart like sand and wind. Madara's body took the full force. He was driven backward, not flying, not tumbling, but pressed backward by continuous force, his feet gouging trenches in the earth until he hit a cliff face, and the cliff face broke, and he kept going through it and out the other side. When the dust settled, Madara was in a crater. A different kind of crater than anyone else Naruto had put in one. This crater was 40 meters wide and shaped like betrayal. Then, Black Zetsu struck. The creature, the thing that had been attached to Madara's body, the worm that had been manipulating the Uchiha bloodline for 1,000 years, revealed itself. It surged from Madara's chest like a parasite abandoning its host. flooding Madara's body with foreign chakra, hijacking his cells, using his Rinnegan for a purpose older than any village or any war. "Mother!" Black Zetsu screamed. "I will bring you back!" Madara's body convulsed, expanded, his form warped, becoming something else, something ancient, something that had been sealed by two brothers 10,000 years ago and had been waiting every day since then for this exact moment. The god tree erupted. The infinite Tsukuyomi cast. The moon turned into a reflecting surface, light pouring down on the world. People everywhere falling into dreams they would never wake from. But Naruto was protected. Sasuke, standing beside him now, his Rinnegan active, cast his Susanoo over both of them. The light passed around them, and Kaguya emerged, the rabbit goddess, the ancestor of chakra, the being who existed before Jutsu had names, before history had records, before humanity understood what power was. She floated above the dying god tree in white robes, her Byakugan active in her third eye, her presence fundamentally changing the composition of reality itself. She looked down at Naruto and Sasuke. The last two standing, Naruto looked up at her. He crossed his arms. "Before we begin," his voice carried across the changed sky, "I have one question." Sasuke, standing beside him, closed his eyes. His jaw tightened. "Don't." "What kind of woman is your type?" Kaguya tilted her head. The movement was alien, too smooth, too continuous, like something wearing a human shape poorly. Her Byakugan, all three eyes focused on Naruto. She had been sealed for 10,000 years. She had never been asked a question by a mortal before. She said nothing. The silence was enormous. "She doesn't understand the question," Sasuke said flatly. "Then she has boring taste by default." Naruto uncrossed his arms. "Yar, even the origin of all chakra has nothing interesting to say. Let's go." Kaguya moved first. She opened a dimension. The landscape shifted. The battlefield was gone. They were in a frozen wasteland, ice for hundreds of kilometers in every direction. The temperature dropped so fast that breath became solid. Naruto was already in Ninetales chakra mode. The golden cloak burned away the cold at its edges. He launched himself at Kaguya, full speed, the ice beneath his feet shattering from his first step. Clap! Boogie woogie! He swapped Kaguya's position with one of her own hair strands that was trailing behind her. A microscopic target, but in this state, his sensing was absolute. Kaguya was suddenly facing the wrong direction. Her Byakugan compensated in milliseconds. She could see in every direction, but a millisecond was all Naruto needed. Rasengan! The sphere connected with her back. The ice beneath them exploded in a circle 50 meters wide. Kaguya's body was driven forward. She felt it. For the first time in 10,000 years, a physical impact. She opened another dimension. Fire, lakes of magma. The air itself was an oven. Naruto was sweating inside his cloak. The heat was beyond natural. But, Kurama, help me here. Already on it. The fox's chakra surged. The golden cloak adapted, converting Kurama's massive reserves into a cooling barrier that made the environment irrelevant. Kaguya fired the expansive truth-seeking ball. A sphere of obliteration the size of a mountain, every element combined, every nature release fused into a single entity of absolute destruction. It moved toward Naruto slowly. It did not need speed. Anything it touched would simply stop existing. Clap! Boogie woogie! The truth-seeking ball swapped positions with the empty dimension behind Kaguya. It detonated behind her, a blast that consumed 100 kilometers of fire dimension in every direction. Kaguya took her own attack to the back. Her form flickered. For one instant, the rabbit goddess looked surprised. Sasuke was in position, his Rinnegan blazing, his Susanoo forming. He and Naruto had coordinated this in the seconds between dimension shifts. A wordless agreement between two people who had spent years fighting and knew each other's movements better than either would admit. Kaguya opened a third dimension. Gravity reversed. Everything fell upward. The sky became the floor. The floor became death. Naruto clapped, swapped himself with a piece of debris that was already falling up, meaning he was now falling down toward Kaguya, who was oriented for upward movement. Six Paths Sage Mode! The power Hagoromo had bestowed. The energy of the Sage of Six Paths himself, flowing through Naruto like a river through a canyon. His golden cloak shifted, becoming something more, something that felt genuinely divine. His body was wreathed in power that transcended tailed beasts, transcended sages, transcended everything the shinobi world had ever produced. In this state, his boogie-woogie evolved. He could swap dimensions. Kaguya opened a portal, trying to shift them again, trying to use her dimension hopping as an escape. Clap! The dimension she was trying to open swapped with the dimension they were already in. She opened a door and stepped through it into the same room she had left. Her escape route became a circle. Her Byakugan saw this happen, and for the first time, visibly, unmistakably, something like fear crossed her ancient face. "You can't run," Naruto said. His voice in this state was different, layered, as if every version of him that had ever existed was speaking simultaneously. "My 530,000 IQ has closed every exit." Sasuke moved. His Rinnegan opened a gravity well, Chibaku Tensei, pulling rocks and debris toward Kaguya, constraining her movement. She fought it. Her power was immense. She could resist almost anything, almost. "Kurama!" Naruto roared. Full form. The Nine-Tails chakra mode exploded outward, expanding, growing, taking shape. 100 meters, 200 meters. The golden energy solidified into form, legs, tails, a head, jaws. The Kurama avatar, a fox of pure chakra the size of a tailed beast itself wrapping around Naruto's body, giving him limbs and claws and 9 tails that whipped across the dimensional space like whips made of concentrated sunlight. He grabbed Kaguya. 2 golden claws closed around the rabbit goddess. She struggled, her Byakugan chakra pulsing, her bones reforming, her power trying to tear free. The avatar squeezed. "Sasuke, now!" Sasuke was already there. His hand, carrying the moon seal that Hagoromo had given him, pressed against Kaguya's left side. Naruto's hand, carrying the sun seal, pressed against her right. The sealing technique activated. 6 paths, Chibaku Tensei. Kaguya's body compressed, folded. The gravity pulled inward, her form becoming smaller, denser, being drawn into the center of a forming celestial body. She screamed. The sound was not human, not animal, not anything that belonged in any reality, and her body was consumed by the forming sphere. The dimension cracked. Reality reasserted itself. The sky returned to the right color. The world returned to the right shape. The infinite Tsukuyomi's light faded from the moon. They were back on the battlefield. Everyone who had been caught in the dream was waking up. Confusion, disorientation, then relief as the living world reasserted its claim on them. Naruto and Sasuke stood in the rubble. The Kurama avatar had dissolved. 6-path sage mode receded. They were themselves again. 2 young men in the aftermath of something beyond what either of them could fully process. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Sasuke looked at Naruto. "Good fight," Naruto said. Sasuke was silent for a moment. His Rinnegan was fading. His body was exhausted in a way he'd never felt. Then, "You called the most powerful entity in history boring." She was boring. She couldn't answer the question. "She's a god." "Gods can still have good taste in women. It's a basic requirement. My 530,000 IQ applies to all beings regardless of cosmic origin." Sasuke put his face in his hand, both hands. He stayed like that for a long time. When he lifted his face, his expression was the most human it had ever been. Exhausted, exasperated, and carrying something underneath both of those things that looked dangerously close to amusement. "You're the most ridiculous person alive," Sasuke said. "Also the strongest. Don't forget that part." Sasuke almost smiled. Almost. The muscles twitched. He caught them. But Naruto saw it, and his grin was enormous. The war was over. The rebuilding took months. Every village contributed. The alliances forged in war held. Awkwardly, imperfectly, but they held. Kages met, agreements were signed. The world settled into something that wasn't peace exactly, but was closer to it than anything the shinobi system had ever produced. Naruto returned to Konoha, the village he'd grown up in, the village that had feared him, then tolerated him, then loved him in the space of a few extraordinary years, was different now. The way he looked at it was different. He walked through the gates and the guards saluted. People waved. Children followed him at a safe distance, whispering about meteors and golden cloaks and a man who could clap his hands and rearrange the world. He ate ramen. He deserved ramen. Lee found him at the stand. His brother sat beside him and ordered the same thing because that was what brothers did. They ate in silence for a while. "It's over," Lee said. "The war is over." Naruto ate another mouthful. "Everything else keeps going. What happens now?" Naruto considered this. He looked at his bowl, at the village beyond it, at the sky above. "I think," I eat more ramen. Then I figure out the rest. Lee smiled. It was the smile of someone who had followed his brother across a war and through a god and back again without a moment of doubt. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Always, brother. They bumped fists over their ramen. The old man behind the counter pretended he didn't see the two massive shinobi getting emotional over bowls of pork ramen. He'd seen it before. He'd see it again. Tamari arrived in Konoha 3 weeks later. Diplomatic mission. Post-war negotiation between Sand and Leaf regarding resource sharing, border patrol scheduling, and trade agreements. Entirely above board. Perfectly reasonable. She'd requested the assignment specifically. Naruto was at the gate when she walked through. He was leaning against the wall, massive, scarred, golden-haired, wearing a coat that was somehow too small for him despite being the largest size available. His arms were crossed. His expression was unreadable. She walked up to him. Her war fan was on her back. Her stride was unhurried. Her expression matched his. "You're taller," she said. The same words as last time, you remembered. Hard to forget someone who takes up that much space. She was sharper than anyone else he'd ever met. Her words landed with the same force as her wind techniques. Cutting, efficient, finding the gaps in everything. She did not fawn. She did not hesitate. She looked at him like he was a person rather than a legend, and that was something. "Walk with me?" he asked. The question came out before his 530,000 IQ could evaluate it. Her eyebrows rose, just slightly. "I have meetings." After. She studied him. Her eyes green piercing, carrying the sand country's endless horizon behind them, moved across his face. She was reading him. He let her. After, she agreed. They walked that evening. Through the village streets, then the training grounds, then up the monument path. She talked about Suna's recovery. He talked about nothing, which was unusual for him, and she noticed, and her noticing made something in his chest respond. "You're being weird," she said eventually. They were on the path overlooking the village. Sunset was painting everything gold. Define weird. "You haven't asked anyone what their type is in the last 3 hours. That's unprecedented." He laughed. It was a shorter laugh than usual. Less performance. More real. "What kind of woman is your type?" He asked it. Finally, looking at her with an expression that was missing its usual theatrical quality, she stopped walking. She turned to face him fully. The sunset was behind her, turning her hair from blonde to fire. "Someone who doesn't need to be managed." Her voice was steady, direct. She was looking at him without flinching. "Someone who already knows what they are and doesn't need me to confirm it. Someone who, when the world falls apart around them, doesn't panic." A pause, the smallest pause. They just clap their hands and fix it. She said it looking somewhere over his shoulder. At the sky, at the village lights coming on below. Naruto was silent. The silence lasted longer than any silence he'd ever produced. No fake memory forming, no tears, no grand gesture. Just the recognition of something real, something that was happening to him for the first time in either life he'd lived. "I see." His voice was different. She noticed. Her eyes came back to his face. "So that's your type." He reached out, took her war fan from her shoulder. It was there from habit, always within reach. He handed it back. His fingers brushed hers in the process. "Good taste," he said, and walked past her down the monument path. She watched him go. Her exhale was long and deliberate. From somewhere in the village below, Shikamaru, who had been watching from a bench because Shikamaru watched everything, said to himself, that was basically him asking her to dinner. He was right. They were insufferable together. In the best way. She stayed in Konoha longer than the diplomatic mission required. Then she returned to Suna. Then she came back. Then she stayed longer. The pattern repeated, each stay extending, each departure shorter, until the distance between visits became the exception rather than the rule. They argued constantly about strategy, about politics, about whether Naruto's approach to combat was elegant or just unnecessarily destructive. Her words, about whether her tendency to overplan every scenario was boring or just cautious. His words. Your wind techniques are good, he told her once during a training session where she'd aimed a full-force scythe at his head and he'd stood still and let it part his hair. But they lack unpredictability. Unpredictability? She was furious. I just aimed for your head, and I knew you would, because you always aim for the head first. My 530,000 IQ read it 3 seconds before you swung. Then dodge next time instead of standing there like a smug. Why would I dodge? I wanted to see how sharp it was. She hit him with the fan's closed end. He laughed. She swung again. He caught it. They were close, very close. His hand on the fan, her hand on the fan. Their faces separated by 12 inches and a lot of mutual stubbornness. You're insufferable, she said. But her grip didn't tighten to pull away. And yet you keep coming back to Konoha. I have business here. Your business ended 2 weeks ago. The silence between them was charged. Electric, carrying the specific weight of two people who were both too proud to close the last 12 inches and both too smart to pretend they didn't want to. Naruto closed the gap. It was a good kiss. Kurama from inside the seal had the good grace to shut his eyes. They got married 8 months later. The ceremony was held in Konoha, a spring day, warm without being hot, the cherry blossoms doing their seasonal performance for an audience that wasn't paying them any attention. Lee wept. From the moment Naruto appeared at the altar, wearing formal robes that still couldn't contain his shoulders, until the moment the ceremony ended, continuous, streaming, beautiful tears. Guy stood beside him weeping at identical volume. They held each other and sobbed about youth and love and brotherhood. Gaara stood in the front row. His expression was Gaara's expression, vast, unreadable, but he was here. He had traveled from Sunagakure to attend. He stood with his arms crossed and his sand still at his sides, and when Temari walked down the aisle, something in his permanently composed face shifted. Just a fraction, he turned his head to look at Naruto. Brother, one word, spoken once, low enough that only Naruto's sage-trained ears could hear it. Naruto's eyes went wide. Something hit him in the chest harder than any Susanoo blade, any meteor, any god's attack. It hit him in the place where real memories lived. The ones that didn't need fabricating. He grinned at Gaara. The biggest grin. The realest one. Gaara looked away, but the corner of his lip, just the corner, moved upward. Millimeters. The closest he had ever come to smiling in front of witnesses. Killer Bee performed an original rap as entertainment. It lasted 12 minutes. It covered the themes of love, partnership, tail beasts, and the importance of finding a woman who could hit as hard as she miss you, make your heart go boom like Biju. The Raikage put his head in his hands. Naruto gave a standing ovation. Tsunade was drinking and crying and insisting she was doing neither. Shizune was holding her sake bottle and her tissues simultaneously. Jiraiya's copy of Icha Icha Tales rested on an empty seat in the front row. Naruto had placed it there that morning. He'd stood in front of the empty chair for a minute before setting it down. Saved you a seat, old man, he'd said to nobody. Best view in the house. The ceremony reached its final words. Guy, who had somehow become the officiant because nobody had thought to assign someone else, and Guy had simply assumed the role with absolute confidence, was reaching the conclusion. Naruto looked at Temari. She looked at him. Her expression was the sharpest thing in the room, and underneath it, softer than she'd ever let anyone else see. What kind of woman is your type? He asked her. In front of everyone. During the ceremony, she rolled her eyes so hard the entire front row could hear it. Still you, unfortunately. Good. His grin was immense. My 530,000 IQ confirms excellent decision-making on your part. I hate you. You married me. A lapse in judgment. Guy was sobbing too hard to pronounce them married. He managed a thumbs up through the tears. It was enough. They had children. The first was a daughter. She arrived on an autumn morning, screaming at a volume that made the hospital staff wince and her father grin with recognition. She was large for a newborn. She had Temari's eyes and Naruto's jawline and a grip strong enough that she held Naruto's finger, and he said with absolute seriousness, "She'll be stronger than me." Don't give her ideas. Temari said from the hospital bed, exhausted but smiling. My 530,000 IQ confirms it. She has the potential. She's 12 hours old and already impressive. That's genetics. He named her after the wind because Temari's techniques were wind and the desert was wind, and everything that had brought them together was carried on currents of air. She grew fast. She grew loud. She grew with the war fan she found in the closet at age 3 and refused to put down. By age 5, she was asking everyone she met, "What kind of woman is your type?" Lee heard her ask it for the first time and nearly passed out from happiness. He was on the floor of the Uzumaki household, tears streaming, declaring that the flames of youth burned across generations and that his brotherhood with Naruto was now biologically confirmed. Naruto stood over him, holding his daughter, beaming like the sun itself was something he'd created personally. "See, brother? My bloodline carries the important things forward." Their son came 2 years later, smaller at birth, faster in growth. He had Naruto's energy, the specific, terrifying, unrelenting energy that meant he was never still, never quiet, never in the place you expected him to be. Tamari said he was punishment for Naruto's personality being duplicated. Naruto said he was evidence of genetic superiority. Kurama, watching both children from inside the seal, assessed the situation in 5 seconds. "You reproduced. There are now more of you. My bloodline is a gift to this world. It is a problem to this world. Same thing, Fox. It is absolutely 530,000 IQ, Kurama. Multiple iterations of it running around. The world should be grateful. The world should be terrified." Years passed. The village changed. The world changed. Naruto became Hokage because there was never really a question. The village that had feared him, loved him, watched him destroy gods and save everyone, they wanted him at the top. He took the hat. He wore it. He filled the office with the same absurd energy he'd filled every space he'd ever entered. The paperwork was the only enemy he never defeated. "Granny," he said to Tsunade on his first day, staring at the desk piled with documents, "how did you survive this?" "Sake," she said, "and delegation. My 530,000 IQ is being wasted on village zoning permits." Welcome to being Hokage. He served. He served well. He served with the same philosophy he'd carried his entire life. Hit problems hard enough that they stopped being problems, and asked the important questions first. Diplomatic meetings with other Kages always started with the question. Some answered well. Some answered badly. Gaara always answered with the same word: sand. Naruto accepted it every time. Brotherhood transcended sensible answers. The years accumulated. His hair gained streaks that he refused to acknowledge. His scars multiplied, but his frame stayed the same. Massive, solid, carrying the weight of a legend that every child in every village knew by name. He was on the Hokage monument, older now. The Hokage hat was beside him on the stone, set aside for the evening. His coat, marked with flames at the hem, the 7th Hokage's coat, was draped over his shoulders against the spring wind. Tamari was beside him. Their daughter, 12 now, already carrying a war fan and an attitude that made her teachers file weekly reports, was asleep against her mother's side, exhausted from training. Their son was somewhere in the village, likely causing problems that would arrive as paperwork tomorrow morning. The village lights were flickering on below them. The sounds of a living, breathing community reaching up through the air. Laughter from the commercial district. The distant thud of someone training at the grounds. A child screaming in delight at something only children understood. He looked at it, all of it. He remembered being 12, sitting on this same spot, waiting for the world to bring him something worth his time. It had. Everything, all of it. Kurama stirred from inside the seal. The fox's presence was warm now, familiar, comfortable, the way an old argument becomes a greeting between people who have known each other too long. "Kit, are you going to say something profound?" Naruto was silent for a moment. He looked at the stars. They were the same stars, always the same stars, but they felt different when you had someone leaning against your shoulder. "What kind of woman is your type?" he asked the fox. Kurama was silent for so long that Tamari, who had felt the shift in Naruto's expression and knew he was having one of his internal conversations, looked at him with raised eyebrows. "Something with 9 tails," Kurama finally answered, very low, and the patience to tolerate absolute nonsense from her partner. Naruto's grin split his face, the biggest grin, the one that made his scar bunch up and his eyes disappear and his whole frame shake with the joy of being alive and exactly where he was supposed to be. He put his arm around his wife. He looked at the stars. "My brother," he said to the fox. "Shut up! Shut up!" He was still grinning. The village was glowing below. Tamari was warm beside him. His daughter was breathing soft and even against her mother's arm. Somewhere in the village, his son was probably breaking something. Lee was probably training. Gaara was probably standing on a rooftop in Suna staring at the same moon. The world was at peace, imperfect, fragile, real peace that he had helped punch into existence. Naruto Uzumaki, the reincarnation of Aoi Todo. The man with 530,000 IQ, the owner of Boogie Woogie, the wielder of Black Chakra Flash, 7th Hokage, husband, father, brother, he was still grinning when the scene ended.
And that is how a reincarnated genius with a 530,000 IQ broke the entire Naruto universe in half, one clap at a time. If this hit different, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell because we are far from done. More chaos is coming. Don't miss it.